again. And we'll go from there. We'll go from there because I'm not happy just sitting around, not getting busy. I need to be busy. I need to get busy. And some people might say I'm already too busy. That's not the way I see it. That is not the way I see it. We're not doing enough. Complacent. We need to get, keep it moving, keep it pushing. Um, it's gonna be a local I'm gonna do the Brown thing and be like, look, let me just align with a group, an organization that is out here uh, doing their best to educate, to protect, and to represent uh, immigrant voices. Uh, that's what I'm focused on right now. That's kind of where I'm like, you know what? I don't want it to feel like I'm using that I'm not politically aligned with a specifically a political organization enough to join them as an excuse to not be putting in on the ground work, right? Because honestly, there isn't like there isn't a political organization that I'm looking at that I'm like, okay, this is what I want. Yes, I'm happy with this. I align with their politics enough. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. So because of that, I kind of need to make sure that I'm not, you know, creating excuses and that I'm actually putting in the work. That I'm actually putting in the work. Let me edit this. Man, this other channel is headache after headache. I'm not even gonna lie. Let me see here. All right. Jesus, I'm gonna do something really, really bad. But I want to say, thank you all for being here. Um, I'm not even lying to you. Like today's meeting this morning that I had, it wasn't even with my. To be clear, it wasn't with necessarily. It wasn't a union meeting. It was something a little bit bigger. It's a national meeting, specifically on politics, specifically about, you know, um, endorsing people and whatnot. What the fuck is going on here? So super, super excited for that. Let's go to history. I'm trying to like get all this background stuff done. All right, let's go. Kilmar, Abrego. Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. Awesome. We can get started now. And where we're gonna start is gonna be a little weird, but it's literally because of the conversations that I was having this morning. Um, right. All right, let's go. I did not know this. I'll be brief. We're not even gonna read this entire article, but I do feel like a responsibility the same way that I'm, you know, man, for better for worse. And I think it's gonna be for worse for a lot of people that should have jumped on this. I am one of the few brown voices, but I'm also, uh, look, I don't claim I'm from LA. I was born in Los Angeles. Don't get that wrong. Now, correct me if I'm wrong if you're from the area. But I've talked to my coworkers, a lot of them who are born, raised, and continue to live in LA, in the city. I don't consider you to be an LA kid, to be, LA, to claim LA, unless you went like to an LAUSD school. Otherwise, you're from somewhere else. Stop trying to claim it. You won't hear me do it. I might use it as shorthand, but nah. Like if you ask me directly, I'm not an LA kid. I could have been. We got out from that area, and I will say for better because of the situations that we were in. The chip on the shoulder that I had when I was younger, that would have been a wild problem for sure. I would not be here, I don't think. So I'm not ashamed to say I'm not from LA. I'm grateful of the opportunities that were presented to me outside, not without their cost for sure. But I don't know if I would be here if I would have stayed. All right. So with that in mind, just want to clarify that. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I really do think that unless you went to like the Los Angeles school district, y'all need to settle down. But if you're new here, this is Deculturation. We usually stream around 10 in the morning over here. Not today. Great meeting. Too happy. I almost wasn't going to stream because I was so content. I was so satisfied with the work that we did today. It was, again, my first time doing it. I'll be taking a trip shortly. We'll stream on that trip for sure. Again, the hour's going to be a little weird. And one thing that keeps like ringing in my mind, keeps echoing, was that FD conversation with Dr. Jared Ball, Geechee, and Diallo, where he says, "Hey, I know people that are organizers, and they just couldn't really get it going in the YouTube space." And I see that, but as much as, and let me say it, as grateful as I am for this opportunity for y'all tuning in, I also don't want to get trapped here, right? I don't want this to become all the activism that I do. I want to make sure that I'm on the ground helping, I jokingly say mi gente, but helping people that look like me, that have gone through struggles like me and my family. Like, I want to make sure that I'm at the very least helping them. And what I do with the union is not enough. What I do with the union is not enough. It's a great learning experience. I'm grateful for it. I need to do more, and I need to get my head in the game for sure. But it's not enough in terms of directly helping my community. I'm doing my best to help my coworkers, my union members, my union brothers and sisters and siblings, all that for sure. But we all know the history of some of these major labor organizations, and I have to be honest about that as well. So I need to get out there a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie, and that's one of my top priorities right now. That is one of my top priorities right now, is making sure that I'm actually doing my part and not just benefiting from my identity. You know. All right. So if you're new here, sick and tired of seeing all the same rich white faces, ya saben, aquí estoy. I will be here. So go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button. If you can, leave a comment. Tell me how off the mark I am. I actually truly like criticism. Go ahead and follow the second channel, Deculturation Live, for all this will stay up. And again, I don't play around. I don't joke around when I say that I like to argue with people. I like criticism. I like to be called out. I like to be held accountable. And I like the opportunity to help elaborate and explain myself further. All that might be for narcissistic reasons, but I think it helps me be a better communicator. So if we disagree, let me know, and I'll do my best to communicate my position. And we don't have to agree. We don't have to agree. I just want to be somewhat understood. So because of the political work that I was doing this morning with the union, this was brought to my attention, and I thought it was so preposterous, so ridiculous, and really goes against the whole propaganda approach, although I would not be surprised if they adopted this as well at some point. Wrongful death, pedestrian accidents, and traffic fatalities in LA outnumber homicides for a second consecutive year. How ridiculous is this? All right, with all the fear mongering that we hear, especially about major cities like LA, man. For the second year in a row, traffic deaths in Los Angeles have exceeded homicides, highlighting the city's ongoing struggle with roadway safety. Excuse me. So while we're going to acknowledge the need for better, roadway safety, we also have to recognize the fact that this doesn't go alongside the narrative of policing, of militarizing the police, right? So keep this in mind as we go through it. In 2024, Los Angeles recorded 302 traffic fatalities, a decline from 345 deaths in 2023. While fewer lives were lost compared to the previous year, these numbers still underscore the persistent dangers on LA streets, which is unfortunate because LA, like we used to have, the little playing on the trolleys. We used to have the little trolleys, just like San Francisco. And the auto industry is like, nope, we're gonna turn Los Angeles into a car city. Got rid of them. From my understanding, a lot of them were actually bought by Mexico, and then San Francisco had to start like slowly buying them back at like crazy prices because they wanted to maintain that aesthetic. Uh, which I don't know, man. To me, that's kind of funny. I was trying something different with the cameras. I'm not really digging it, but it's me and my laptop. Not gonna lie, this just looks funky. Anywho, it's fine for now. Um, by contrast, 268 homicides were reported in Los Angeles in 2024, meaning more people died in vehicle crashes than from violent crimes. More people died in vehicle crashes than from violent crimes. But you're not going to get more police funding by highlighting the concern and the need to address, you know, for me, it's a disgusting car culture. When I have to drive to work, especially on the drive back, and I'm sitting there for over an hour, and your boy is broke, so I don't got functioning AC, it's brutal. It's brutal. And I look at the metro, and I grew up on the metro, and I'm like, damn, like, and I've traveled, I've had the luxury to travel and the privilege, the benefit of traveling, and I see how public transportation is in other countries. And look, you don't have to go somewhere, crazy right here, just a few hours away in Mexico. Their public transportation, it the people are so reliant on it and it's so accessible. We're not even talking about taxis, we're just talking about like local, buses. We still don't have that here. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's so frustrating. I hate driving. I despise driving. I've been through two really, if you look at the vehicles, really drastic car accidents where both of the cars, both of those cars I had were totaled. None of them were my fault. So thankfully, the insurance companies like, the payout, I was able to get back on my feet, what have you. And more importantly, my health. My health was, was fine. Funny enough, between those two car accidents, I was rear-ended, and that actually, was more physically impactful than the two total cars. The only upsetting part was that I was borrowing that car for a minute, and thankfully, the guy in the other vehicle admitted that he was on his phone and he messed up. So, but again, when you get rear-ended, it's more or less clear cut. But if you look at the two other vehicles, you'd be one for sure. You'd be astonished that I kind of walked away like nothing, and like, man, I'm too lucky. I'm too fortunate. This is why, despite how jaded I am, despite all my perceived negativity, my pettiness, my hatred, whatever, I feel so fucking fortunate in life. Um, just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Being in these situations and being able to kind of shake it off. Yeah, this is why I'm saying, like, I'm grateful, even if it doesn't come off that way sometimes. Just don't ask how I talk to myself in here. The whole other conversation. All right, by contrast, 268 homicides were reported in Los Angeles in 2024, meaning more people died in vehicle crashes than from violent crimes. The fact that fatal car accidents continue to surpass homicides signals a need for greater attention in road safety enforcement and accountability. We'll just read this and then we'll get on to the major subjects. The daily pattern in Los Angeles roads. Los Angeles has long been known for its heavy traffic and high number of vehicle collisions, but the rising fatality numbers show that the city streets remain dangerous. While city officials have made efforts to improve road conditions and traffic enforcement, the sheer number of crashes suggests a deeper problem tied to reckless driving, speeding, and pedestrian safety issues. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. And a lot of this too is that the lack of community, and and this is why I'm saying this, because people start to adopt this just individualist mentality of like, I need to get there, fuck everybody else. And when I was younger, when I was a lot younger, when I first started driving, I used to see driving like a race. And then one day, I don't know why, it's such a stupid like epiphany. I'm just waiting like at a red light, right? And then we go, and it's one of these kind of weird like multi, you know, lane intersections. And I'm looking, and I kind of had this like I'm not gonna say out of body experience. It wasn't that profound, but I kind of took like a visual step back, and I'm like, oh shoot, like we're all agreeing that these little fucking dashes on the floor, we're all gonna obey them and listen to them and flow in that direction. And if you're considerate, you're gonna use your signals, this and that. And I was like, man, like we have so much potential as a species to just do shit the right way. Mind you, the right way would be no private cars and slowly relying on public transportation, walkable cities, yada yada. I believe me. I believe all that shit. But nonetheless, in the situation where I'm like, damn, all right, that's beautiful, that's cool. I don't know, it was a beautiful moment, realization that that we could manage a lot more than what we're willing to claim, or what we're willing to, what we're told to say that we can do. And mind you, this whole thing is against the whole, oh, it's human nature to be selfish and to just watch out for yourself, all that shit. Nah, I don't believe in that. I do not believe in that. You work with kids long enough, you'll see some of that. Don't get me wrong, but for the most part, you'll see, our most uncorrupt selves wanting to share, wanting to play, wanting to bond, wanting to share, affection and love, and trying to understand each other. When one child sees another child cry, like the first thing they do is either they're sympathetic and cry alongside with them, or they try to figure out what's going on, either by asking the child or asking the nearest adult to them to be like, why are they crying? Anywho, so for me, it's kind of like, I don't know, sometimes, especially as I gotten older, and I get that road rage because I do commute. Like I kind of have to stop myself and be like, all right, one, you've been late yourself, and you've been that jerk on the road, so settle down. But two, when I see other people, it's kind of like, all right, they have an emergency. I had to lie to myself and pretend they have an emergency so I won't get upset and judge them, because they're not going to carry that judgment. I'm carrying it with me for the rest of the day. So I just got to calm down and be like, nah, you know what? They have an accident. If I wanted to be silly, I'm like, bro, like they had a bad breakfast burrito and they're rushing or something, whatever it takes to not think about it. And I've gotten to the point now, and because I do commute so consistently, it's just, I don't even think about that way. I just don't get upset anymore. I don't have to make up these stories anymore. It doesn't upset me anymore. I literally, the most I'll think about it is like, oh shit, I hope they don't hurt anybody. And I'm on my way. I'm on my way. But LA is almost designed to put people, especially pedestrians, at risk. It's really unfortunate. Understanding the scale of the problem means looking at who is affected the most and where these fatal accidents occur. Certain groups, including pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, are particularly vulnerable. High-speed corridors and poorly designed intersections also contribute to the city's deadly crashes. One of the most troubling aspects of this trend, according to the Crosstown study, is the high number of pedestrian fatalities. In 2024, 170 pedestrians were killed in collisions, only a slight decrease from 185 pedestrian deaths in 2023. These numbers reflect ongoing risks for those walking in LA, particularly in areas with high speed traffic and inadequate pedestrian protections. Yeah, there's some streets out here. There's some streets out here where I'm like, holy fuck. Like, it's like they're setting you up. There's no other way to put it. They're setting you up to get hurt. I don't know how else to say it. They're so illogical, and they're so like just waiting for an accident to occur, like a flat tire, and you lose control of your car and you're gonna hurt like people in a very drastic manner. I don't know, man. Toribio, how we doing? Okay, let me see. Hey, how's it going, man? And chat, before we get into your topic, I want to mention that the past months, my country's mainstream news sources been increasingly calling narco violence terrorism. Damn. Yeah, they're setting up. That usually means U.S. like involvement, or the state's going to start cracking down themselves. But a lot of it, regardless whether the state's doing it itself or not, and please, sorry, authority, but remind me where you're at if you don't, if you're comfortable, of course. Um, the pressure of the Trump administration, it doesn't just say here; it's international. So a lot of these countries too, and these leaders are trying to play up, you know, whatever Trump is spewing, in case, Trump looks at them, he wants to see what he's saying. He wants to see that reflected back to him like a true narcissist. And then maybe, he'll be more generous to them. It is very much, when that, in that sense, Dr. Cornell West is correct. It is a gangster approach to it all. See Rose, how we doing? And again, I appreciate you, chat, for tuning in a little bit later than usual. And then this is such an odd and specific topic, I'm not gonna lie, but I think that's the benefit of being involved in actual organizations. Is that suddenly you'll hear something where you're like, wait, how is that even right? Like, and again, you could always use this to support, your more radical positions in the sense of like, no, like we need to abolish the police because this isn't. Look, all the fear mongering that they're doing, everything that they're saying. Yeah, nobody's gonna tell you about. Oh, if you go out to LA, watch out crossing the street. They'll make fun of the traffic or whatever, but they won't tell you, hey, be careful. They'll say, oh, don't get mugged, watch out for homeless people, all this stuff. Watch out for drug addicts, watch out for the mentally ill, but they won't tell you, hey, when you're walking around, trucha. They're not gonna say that. That's the frustrating part. And then it goes through some of the the years, traffic deaths. So yeah, while there was a 12.5 decrease in overall traffic deaths over the last 2 years, the number of pedestrian fatalities remains alarmingly high in a city where many residents rely on walking, biking, or public transportation. The risk of serious injury or death in a traffic accident remain a major concern. This slight decline in deaths may offer some hope, but for those impacted by the fatal crashes, statistics mean little when dealing with the devastating loss of a loved one. Yeah, can you imagine like you lose your loved one because they were crossing the street and somebody wanted to like get to work early or not late at least, and you tell them, you're patting them on the shoulder, like, hey, but don't worry, there's a 12.5% decrease in these types of situations. Of course not. We don't want to be seen as statistics. We don't want to be treated as such because we're not. We're more than that. But this helps to highlight the overall impact that is occurring. And we can't be celebrating over a 12.5 decrease, especially if we can't point to the thing that is aiding in preventing these deaths and preventing this type of violence. It should be recognized as violence, right? Especially for the hit and run situations. I believe LA is like the major also city for hit and runs. While LA streets remain dangerous, some areas of Los Angeles are significantly more dangerous than others, with certain neighborhoods experiencing far more fatal crashes. In 2024, the LAPD stations with the greatest reported traffic fatalities were concentrated in South LA, Central LA, and San Fernando Valley. Huh. I think maybe San Fernando Valley, just because I'm gonna assume, just based off my time in and around that area, is, I don't know, I feel like there's more road, if that makes sense. At least in the area that I was in, where like motherfuckers could really start like, driving real fast and don't have to really think or concern themselves with a light for quite some time. Again, at least in the area that I was, and I could be totally wrong. Somebody correct me. Yeah, man. So it goes through the more detail of the streets here, the crossings. Um, but again, I just want to highlight that because we're gonna go over some, immigration regarding to like the Latin community, but I feel a responsibility of like, hey, LA, everybody looks at LA. Everybody looks at LA. So I'm gonna do more, especially as my union obligations require me to get more and more involved with the politics in LA to cover that a little bit more. I don't want to alienate anyone from outside of the region, much less outside of the country or whatever. But I'm out here, and I have to be vocal about what's happening here. And it's one of those spots where the rest of the world kind of looks at us mainly because of Hollywood, but nonetheless, uh, we got eyes on us, and I'm out here, so that requires a certain level of responsibility on my part. All right, man, Pancho, I think I'm gonna have to start cutting out coffee. I think I'm gonna have to start cutting off coffee. Like I'm craving it so much now, man. So this wasn't a part of the lineup, but I'll briefly go over this because I do gotta go train today. I am I'm so out of shape right now. I'm not even gonna lie. Since I'm gonna be out of town on union business, I'm not gonna be able to train. Uh, and where I'm going is not not ideal in my opinion for working out. So just briefly over here. This is a little bit old. Actually, it's not. What the fuck? Why did I say that? It's like a couple days old, a week old, 5 days, right? This made me laugh, and you'll see why. The woke words Democrats should cut from their vocabulary. uh, all right. Democrats seem to think they can talk their way out of the political wilderness. Listen closely, you can hear it through the din of their all caps Trumpian X feeds, their hours long manosphere podcast interviews, and their more frequent swearing. Now, last part is funny because that CNN coverage of the pedo and creep destiny, that whole political, like, whatever the hell it was called, or I think it's like Unfuck America, that's a big deal for them. It's like, we got to swear more and we got to use ableist slurs. And it's like, bro, like, come on. How are we there? How are we there? It's so childish. It's so shallow. Nearly 10 months after the 2024 election, and the party is still embroiled in self recriminations over where they're talking, what they're talking about, and now the actual words they're using, or more precisely, which words they shouldn't utter. In a new memo shared exclusively with Political, the center left think tank Third Way is circulating a list of 45 phrases they want Democrats to avoid using, aligning the terms put a wall between, alleging the terms put a wall between us and everyday people of all races, religions, and ethnicities. It's a set of words that Third Way suggests people simply do not say, yet they hear them from Democrats. The span, yo, damn, bro, Siri just eavesdropping a little too hard. They span 6 categories from therapy speak to explaining away crime. And put in sharp relief, in part, and put in sharp relief a party that authors say make Democrats sound like the extreme divisive elitists and this thing's really broken. Hopefully that stays. Obfuscatory enforcers of wokeness. Enforcers of wokeness. In the document titled "Was It Something I Said?" Third Ways argues that to please a few, we have alienated the many, especially on culture issues where our language sounds superior, haughty, and arrogant, according to the memo. And this is very, I mean, I don't know if Cenk Uygur himself helped write this, but the idea that to please the few, we have alienated the many. And by please is is voice our concern for marginalized communities being targeted by Republicans and being abandoned by Democrats. And they're saying, hey, no, 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 do more abandoning. Don't even talk about them. Don't even feign concern. Among the blacklisted terms, privilege, violence, as in environmental violence, dialoguing, triggering, othering, microaggressions, holding space, body shaming, subverting norms, systems of oppression, cultural appropriation, Overton window, essential threat to the climate, democracy, economy, radical transparency, stakeholders, the unhoused, food insecurity, housing insecurity, person who immigrated, birthing person. That's Anna Kasparian for sure. And Jane Google wrote this. This is crazy. This is 100% Anna Kasparian. It was not a thing that was even acknowledged or recognized outside of like the medical field until she started crying about it. But you know, white women, cisgender, dead naming, heteronormative, patriarchy, LGBT, just a whole fucking queer community, BIPOC. Nobody took that seriously to begin with. Allyship, incarcerated people, involuntary confinement. You can't even say that somebody's been fucking kidnapped by the state. I mean, would you rather say that? I would. That was weird, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, this is so annoying. I mean, hey, if somebody's in here, somebody's in here. It is what it is. Um, I got the dog inside my room today, so if somebody snuck in and hit, I don't know, man. That was weird. Give me 1 sec. What was out there? It legit sounded like somebody like thumped. Like, is that a thump? What do you call it? Not knock, but like, it wasn't a bang either on my door. That was weird. All right, where are we? We are doing our best to get Democrats to talk like normal people and stop talking like they're leading seminars at, I don't even know where that is. The fuck is this? Oh, that's funny. Sitting in southern Turkey. Huh. Okay. Well, Matt Bennett, you make me feel stupid. So maybe you're the problem here. We think language is one of the central problems we face with normie voters. But you're calling them normie voters then, signaling that we are out of touch with how they live, think, and talk. Okay. In recent weeks, this has become a bit of a thing with comedians like Jimmy Kimmel and Sarah Silverman, highlighting how insane Dems can sometimes sound. Well, Sarah Silverman is like just washed in a fucking Zionist. Jimmy Kimmel, I don't know, that was obnoxious. I never really cared for him. The whole man show thing with Adam Carolla, it was too white for me. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Also, elected officials like Delaware Representative Sarah McBride and Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear are begging their colleagues to just be normal again. Just be normal. Just talk about what white people are concerned about. That's it. Don't talk about anything else but what the white middle class is concerned about. That's all we need to focus on. That's it. But the reason why I wanted to cover that's quite funny and it connects with the story that I was really actually interested in, and it just dropped today. Dark Money Group is secretly funding high-profile Democratic influencers. An initiative aimed at boosting Democrats online offers influencers up to $80,000 a month to push a party line. All they have to do is keep it secret. That's hilarious. And agree to restrictions on their content. How fucking pathetic can you get? How more pathetic can you get? Jeez, man. Now remember, we've covered how Hassan Piker, I don't think he's getting paid. I'm not accusing him of that. But even when they're not, they're in coalition, they're in alignment with, and they're working alongside the Democratic Party. If you're speaking privately to Democratic strategists to aid and abet the Democratic Party, you're aligned with the Democratic Party, whether you're getting paid or not. You're part of that organization. And quite honestly, one, it adds to the ridiculousness of a so-called leftist. Two, vote for Kamala Harris in California. But two, to claim or pretend that you weren't always going to support Kamala Harris. It's fucking ridiculous. It's astonishing that people actually take this guy seriously when he will shout from the top of his lungs that that's funny. That he voted for Kamala Harris. That there shouldn't be an issue of that. And then you have motherfuckers out here pretending that ah, man, this is funny to watch. Not Twitch, y'all. There we go. This is only funny because I have never really interacted with what's this fool's name? Mike from PA. He's always disgusted me. But this made me laugh because this is my first real interaction. Well, he didn't respond to me, but the first time I've really commented on anything of his, because it was so ridiculous. And I thought this was so accurate, and I wish my mind worked this way. I write the theory, and I'll do the practice. Vote blue no matter who. I mean, that's who Hassan Piker is. During the genocide, still voted for Kamala Harris in California. Mike from PA, who is a crypto, Republican, who only ran in the Democratic election to avenge his mother, because, that's the type of family he comes from. On election day, with 300,000 viewers, he invited me on to tell people to vote PSL. Then laugh my ass off because he's mentally sorry, I shouldn't say he's mentally. He is socially 15 years old. He is socially 15 years old. All his social interactions are that of a 15-year-old. Keep that in mind. I'm not exaggerating either. So I add, did Hassan Pickett, that's how much attention I'm putting to this. Did Hassan Piker platform Claudia de la Cruz like he did the Zionist Marianne Williamson? Nah, but he does smear the Green Party, while the Democratic Party tried to remove them from the ballots. And Hassan voted for Kamala Harris in California. You filthy gringo.
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got problem? I voted for Kamala Harris. You got problem? I voted for Kamala Harris. You got problem?
Somebody else had something if I don't recall. This is always funny though. Don't forget who Mike is.
I think that's fine. So if a guy pays for my tab,
I think I'm getting your attention. I feel like I touched a vampire touching holy water.
can I help you?
No, I think they want to go in.
Okay.
Fucking pathetic human being. But of course, he's only protecting Hassan Piker. Look, if you want to brag, and say, hey, Hassan had me on to get his viewers to vote for the PSL the day of the election. The day of the election. You're already a fucking clown. You're an idiot. The day of the election. Right. Not leading up to it, not organizing towards the election to combat the Democratic Party. Nope. Not at all, because of course, when Hassan Piker, what was he doing leading up to the election? Man, this thing's so fucking obnoxious right now. Let's see if this helps. And that actually helped. What was he doing instead in the day of the election? Not the day of the election, excuse me. Leading up to the election, he was going. That's funny. To a DNC. He was going to the DNC. And when he was questioned about this, when he was called out for going into the belly of the beast, Democratic Party, while they committed genocide, what was he doing? He was trying to square up with a pro-Palestinian protester who Hassan tried to intimidate, which is fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. Let me see if I can find it here. That's funny, man. I'm not gonna have it. It's not gonna be at hand. But it's one of my favorite fucking like just clips, because like, bro, like, you're trying to be tough with somebody half your fucking size, man. You're trying to be tough with somebody half your fucking size. It doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see. Let me go to mine. There should be a video here where this will rolls up on some like young looking ass foot too. On his way to the DNC. Make that shit make sense. Here we go.
Of the hat. You know I was at the protest yesterday, right? I was at the protest 1 day ago, brother. Wait, I'm sorry, what did you say? Get out of here? You think I'm your fucking enemy? You think I am against Palestinian emancipation?
Honestly,
Get the
no.
fuck out of here. Fucking child. What do you mean, honestly, no? Why are you chirping at me then?
Don't call me a fucking child.
Because you're being a fucking child. Be an adult. Think clearly. Dumbass. Oh, he does. And I agree with him. And I agree with him. So why the fuck's he yelling at me? Of the hat.
Why the fuck is he yelling at me? As you're making your way into the Democratic National Convention, who's committing a genocide through their Zionist proxy. I wonder why he's yelling at you. I wonder why he's yelling at you. It's pathetic. So you don't have to be on the payroll to be aligned with the Democratic Party. In a private group chat in June, dozens of Democratic political influencers discussed whether to take advantage of an enticing opportunity. They were being offered $80,000 per month. Fucking shit, man. You know what's sad? For me, that's life-changing money. For them, that's just like a solid business deal. To take part in a secretive program aimed at bolstering democratic messaging on the internet. But the contract sent to them from Chorus, the nonprofit arm of a liberal influencer marketing platform, came with some strings. Among other issues, it mandated extensive secrecy about disclosing their payment and had restrictions on what sort of political content the creators could produce. In their group chat, influencers debated the details. Should we send a joint email with all of our email addresses, or are we just going to send things separately and hope they change everything for everyone? Lorenzo, a non-binary creator in Columbus, Ohio, with over 884,000 TikTok followers. Sorry, I found that funny because it's like, you know for a fact that they were looking for the most like intersectional, marginalized, oppressed people imaginable to push this shit out. To try and get their fucking, people that might be a little bit more to the left on certain issues, especially like when it comes to gender, right? On their side to normalize genocide. Some joked about collective bargaining. Oh, they think unionizing is a joke. That's awesome. Any newsy fans here? Alyssa Orleans, a public defender and reality TV star known for her appearance on Survivor, posted in the group, "We're a union just by saying so." I mean, did they even do that though? The influencers in the chat collectively had at least 13 million followers across social platforms. Mind you, there's a lot of overlap in there. They represented some of the most well known voices online, posting in support of Democrats and their key to whatever the party's moves next. But ultimately, the group didn't make much progress. Reading through this revised chorus contract, like you win some, you lose some. The reproductive justice influencer's name, Perry, who posts under the handle Women in America, responded later in the thread, "I also think there's at least 4 other things that should change, but the vibe I got from their email was that there would be minimal, if any, changes." And then some of these cowards did not reply for comment. I don't feel strongly about pushing, to be honest. Aaron Parnas, a Gen Z news influencer who had been called the Gen Z Walter Cronkite and has been lauded in legacy media outlets, posted to the chat. They aren't going to modify it anymore. Seems like a take it or leave it. And he also declined. Who is this fool? Aaron Parnas? I'm not on TikTok, so I haven't even seen that. I haven't even seen him in this, but this is scary as fuck. Pretending to be an actor on The West Wing. This is, man, I'm telling you, I've never seen it, but The West Wing really did rot a lot of these fucking white people and liberal minds. Man. "I believe we are in stage 5 acceptance," Perry responded. Creators began signing on to the deal. I mean, at least just round it out to 10K a month, bro. Por lo menos. For years, Democrats have struggled to work with influencers. In 2024, President Joe Biden's White House snubbed several prominent content creators after they lightly criticized the administration over its policies on climate change, COVID, Gaza, and the TikTok ban. Content creators who challenged Kamala Harris, including Hassan Piker, a well-known influencer on the left, were similarly unwelcome at campaign events. Sure, at campaign events, but he was welcome at the fucking DNC, and he still voted for her anyways. Can you imagine getting personally snubbed by the presidential candidate that you're still gonna fucking vote for when there's absolutely no need for you to do so in fucking California? Man, but this is my whole theory that the whole goal of media and even the people around Hassan Piker that dislike him, whether they know it or not, is to prop up this guy as the furthest left you can possibly go, so that it makes the rest of us who are actually on the left, who are actually organized, seem like fucking insane radicals. After the Democrats lost in November, they faced a reckoning. It was clear that the party had failed to successfully navigate the new media landscape, while Republicans spent decades building a powerful and robust independent media infrastructure, maximizing controversy to drive attention and maintain tight relationships with creators despite their small disagreements with Trump. The Democrats have largely relied on outdated strategies in traditional media to get their message out. You know what it is? Is because of the white savior self-righteousness of liberals, they can't handle any type of criticism. Especially if it's from their left. They can't handle it. I mean, again, look back at how Emma Vigeland accused me of being anti-Semitic, and it took her Jewish boss, Sam Cedar, to check her. Now, if he wasn't there, I would be marked as an anti-Semite for my criticism of their Zionist, approach to the Palestinian genocide. They're liberal Zionists, but Zionists nonetheless. But this right here, I don't know, man. It's hilarious because Republicans will hear criticisms and be like, okay, yeah, no, I hear you. We're different. We're seeing it my way. We'll see who wins out at the end, this and that, because they don't give a fuck. They don't fucking care. They're gonna do what they want to do regardless. They're lying consistently, and they're proud of it. Democrats are more kind of like, no, I want you to believe I care. I want people to think that I actually fucking care. I want them to think I'm a good person. So if you're somehow in any fucking way helping people see through my fucking lies, through my fucking mask, then you're my enemy. Then you're my enemy, because part of being a Democrat, part of being a liberal, it's not just the benefits of fucking over the working class. No, that's not enough. It's not enough to align with capital and reap all the financial rewards. No, you need the status as well. You need the social status saying, I'm a good person, right? And I mean, in comparison to the Republicans, sure, but nonetheless, oh, I'm a good fucking person. They want the bragging rights of being a good person. It's not enough to reap all the fucking benefits that Republicans reap of fucking over the working class. No. They want to be able to be smug, self-righteous assholes. That's what they want. That's what they fucking crave. That's part of the deal of being a Democrat, being a liberal. Now, Democrats hope that the Secretive Chorus Creator Incubator Program, funded by a powerful liberal dark money group called the 1630 Fund, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know, man. They're definitely sacrificing something over there. The 1630 Fund. Liberal dark money beneath funnel more than 400 million in 2020. Jesus. A left-leaning secret money group doled out a whopping 410 million in 2012, aiding Democrats' effort to unseat then President Donald Trump and win back control of the Senate. The group, the 1630 Fund, financed attack ads against Trump and vulnerable Republican senators and funded massive get out the vote and issue advocacy campaigns amid the coronavirus pandemic, as detailed in a new tax filing obtained by Politico. It exploded in size during the Trump administration, going from a few $10 million per year to raising and spending hundreds of millions. The 1630 Fund's multi-million-dollar grants single-handedly powered some other organizations on the left, and it also incubated other groups as a physical sponsor that fought against Trump's Supreme Court House nominees, backed liberal ballot measures and policy proposals in different states, and organized opposition to Republican tax and health care policies. Okay, the ibuprofen just kicked in, and I'm feeling way better. And a side note, I have a fucking horrible toothache, but I won't be able to go to the dentist after the union trip because I fucking forgot that it's going to be fucking Labor Day or some shit. I'm sorry, I fucking work Mondays. I don't know what to fucking tell you. All right. Its massive 2020 fundraising and spending illustrates the extent to which the left embraced the use of dark money to fight for its causes in recent years. After decrying big money, Republican donors over the last decade, as well as the Supreme Court's ruling that flooded politics with more cash, Democrats now benefit from hundreds of millions of dollars of undisclosed donations as well. Altogether, this is absolutely one of the largest fundraising machines I have ever come across. Robert Maguire, the chief investigator for the Open Government Group crew and an expert in political nonprofits. I am really struggling to think of any other group, especially recently, that could rival it. He added, comparing the amount of money flowing through 1630 Fund to the Koch brothers network at the height of its influence earlier this decade. And Toribio. On a side note, you must be getting something in your water or barely flood and haven't had tooth problems ever. I'm assuming you said floss, maybe? Is that what you're trying to say? Well, I mean, I don't drink tap water. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I've always had issues with like my teeth, always since I was a kid. And I'm like, look, I think I'm a very clean person. Like especially because I get grossed out easily by I don't know, like anything like on the skin, whatever. So I'm always like, I'm already like, you hear me talking about it, I'm already getting itchy. Um, so and I've been that way with my teeth too. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. It's frustrating, but it's a lifelong issue that I struggle with. That's really obnoxious, and it's just kind of like, yeah, I know people like that are like, they don't think twice about their teeth, and have never really had a cavity or any issues. Even one time, like the closest I've gotten to carrying out targeted, yeah, you get the word that starts with a V. I went to a new dentist because I had like new health insurance or whatever, and the one that I had been going to wasn't taking new patients. And although technically I was a new patient, I was new under this health insurance, so they couldn't see me at the time. So I go to this other dentist, good reviews or whatever, but they were like younger guys, and I told them about the issue I was having, and they're like, okay, we can do that. And then they looked around and they're like, well, you have like this old filling, and it'd probably be best to like while we're in there, because it's right next to the tooth that you're having an issue with, to remove that filling and put in a new one. And I was like, bro, I told him like, I don't care, do what you have to do. And and so they fixed the issue with the problem that I went into for them to take care of. But because they took out that filling, and I didn't know this until afterwards. When you take out a filling, to reinsert another filling, you need to dig deeper into the tooth again, right? And because of that, that that exposed my fucking nerve. So then I had to get a fucking root canal, and then I ended up going to like at the time like this person that I knew had like a really good reliable uh like dentist, and I told them what happened, and they're like, oh yeah, they were just trying to swindle you for money. Like if you were having no issues with that tooth, even if the filling's old, you don't really want to, depending where the filling's at, you don't really want to mess with it because you have to dig in fucking deeper, and then you could cause more problems. And that's how I got my first fucking root canal. And it's, man, I don't know. All right, all the fucking side quests over here. Ba, 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 ba. The program kicked off last month, and creators involved were told by Chorus that over 90 influencers were set to take part. Creators told Wired that the contract stipulated they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much acknowledged that they were part of the program. Some creators also raised concerns about a slew of restrictive clauses in the contract. Influencers included in the communication about the program, and in some cases, an onboarding session for those receiving payments from the 1630 fund included Olivia Juliana. If you don't know who this is one of the most obnoxious fucking people in the world. And I don't really go after them because I'm already gonna get called a fucking sexist. I'm already gonna get called fatphobic anyways. So I'm kind of like, it's not even fucking worth it. But this is one of the worst fucking human beings that I've ever fucking seen. Like, just such a fucking opportunist in every degree. In every fucking degree, such an opportunist. It is, man, and it sucks because if I were use this if I were speak about them in the same way that I would anyone else, it's automatically going to be seen as phobic and sexist. So that's why I don't even. It's not even fucking worth it. I'm just kind of like, all right, whatever. Like, She's awful. If y'all need more evidence, I don't know what to tell you. Let's see this. Fuck it, let's go to this.
Welcome, Olivia Juliana.
Hello from a proud Texas Democrat. This November, I'll cast my first vote in a presidential election ever. The fact is, our
I had no idea she was that young. I had no idea she was that young. Wow. This is what I'm saying. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Wow. Wow. Yeah. She's going to definitely hold some type of office at some point. Jeez. To be that evil at that young. I mean, I think it's all the fucking liberal evil shit, like aging her for sure. Included Olivia Juliana, the centrist Gen Z influencer who spoke at the 2024 Democratic National Convention. Lauren Pietra, a former Playboy executive turned political influencer who hosts a podcast for Occupy Democrats. Bruh. Occupy Democrats. What the fuck is this? Jesus, bro. So is this like TYT extra light or what is this? What's going on here? This is the name of this video.
Watched
Rachel Maddow cracks up after revealing secret Musk recording. Oh man. That is so fucking pathetic. Yes. The magazine. Man, okay. Barrett Adair, a content creator who runs an American Girl doll themed pro DNC meme account. Fucking terrifying. Susan Lambert, who has called herself a Regina George liberal. What the fuck is that? Ariel Fodder, an education creator with 1.4 million followers on TikTok. Sandra Jennings, a former TLC reality star, and older brother of trans influencer Jazz Jennings. David Pacman, a host of independent progressive show on YouTube covering news and oh shit. Okay, I did not know this. So this filthy fucking Zionist one of the most vile fucking human beings. I mean, it makes sense. It makes fucking sense. 1 hour ago. Interesting. Watch this. David Pacman.
Bunch of people wrote in saying, David, you are simply biased because you're Jewish. Not religiously. I'm culturally Jewish, ethnically Jewish. And so I saw dozens of comments and got a handful of emails from people saying, they like me well enough, but on this issue, I can't be trusted because I'm Jewish and therefore biased. This is a really scary right-wing argument that the right has used for decades to dismiss the opinions of people they don't want to listen to. It's a bad argument, and I'll tell you why. In whatever way I am biased for being Jewish, you would have to argue any Palestinian is also biased for being Palestinian. And what that gets us
wild. Because his actual political positions, his actual political opinions Right here, watch.
If you go back to the 1947 partition plan, it was a 50-50 divide of the land, which at this point would be a fantastic deal, I believe, for Palestinians. They rejected it in 47 because they believed Israel should not exist and should have zero land. And then you talk about the 2000 Camp David.
It's like they believe that zero land. Like even saying that like that. They believe Jewish people, Israel, should have zero land. What land are you talking about? The land that they fucking stole. Yes, I think anyone would believe, hey, you should not steal what is mine. You should steal 0% of what is mine. But he frames it like, can you believe it? They're not even willing to share.
They rejected it in 47 because they believed Israel should not exist and should have zero land. And then you talk about the 2000 Camp David summit, and you talk about Bill Clinton's attempted negotiation and the rejection of all of these deals. That's part of the context as well. But David, you won't say that in 67 and 73, Israel stole more land. Well, that's missing context. Israel was attacked by Egypt and Syria in 67. And so they defended and were able to claim land in war as happens. Does that mean I love it? No, but to say that on a whim in 67, Israel said, let's take some land, isn't what happened. If you go back to the 1947 partition.
You know what's funny? Watch. Do they call him out as a fucking Zionist? Well, there's the Vanguard, so I'm actually going to cover. Because they've been chummy and friends for years. We're having like the secret fucking weird. Like playful fight. Let's see. But here, the Zionist Guard.
I just noticed that every so often, it's not every day, it's not every week, but then something specifically comes from like Matt that's like a sideline hit with David Pakman, but there's no real explanation other than like a laugh and giggle thing, like a high school thing.
We just gave you our explanation. Matt's derision is completely warranted. And honestly, I would go harder if I wasn't trying to be nice.
You notice how Emma Vigeland is always nice to these fucking Zionists? How she refuses to call Bernie Sanders a Zionist because he's not aggressively anti-Palestinian enough. And again, never forget the Vanguard are Zionist propagandists as well, claiming that there were some good Zionist leaders, claiming that, oh, kibbutz were these great fucking communal spaces and not settler colonial outposts. Little shit like that. These fucking rat libs, just like the liberals that they truly are, speaks from both sides of their mouths. Yeah, relock. These indigenous folks refuse to let us steal their land. Boss fight. A fantastic deal in context of a genocide. Dang. Yep. But he was trying to cry and pretend like, oh, it's anti-Semitic to claim that just because I'm Jewish, you can't trust me. No, it's because you're a fucking Zionist. And I hope people call out David Pakman for this the same way that they were calling out Tim Pool for taking Russian money. But the difference here is at least Tim Pool can argue some fucking ignorance, and he is stupid as fuck. Although I think that he absolutely knew what he was doing. But we know for a fact that David Pakman agreed to these restrictions. And again, for $8,000 a month, there's no way. Like he had to have been getting more than that. Elaine McGowan, who goes by online moniker Politics Girl, and dozens of others. The first two declined to comment, the rest did not respond to requests for comment. According to copies of the contract viewed by Wire that creators signed, The influencers are not allowed to describe their relationship with Chorus or the 1630 fund, or functionally that they're being paid at all, which I think would go against YouTube's terms of services. I don't know about like TikTok and other things, but I think you have to disclose if you're essentially doing paid advertisement, which is what they're doing. Dozens of liberal influencers are believed to have been approached by Chorus about the 1630 fund financing opportunities this spring. They were told that Chorus appreciated the work they were doing online and were asked if they'd be interested in being part of the first cohort of a new program that Chorus was running to help expand their reach and impact. But following the initial outreach, many creators expressed concerns about some stipulations, according to copies of the contract viewed by Wired. Creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus. Creators also have to loop Chorus in any independently organized engagement with government officials or political leaders. That's fucking sketchy. And this is fucking weird and sketchy to say the least. Because a lot of these people, especially like David Pakman, right? They have, already their own established connections with politicians. Now, were built and created prior to obviously their relationship with Chorus. And so Chorus is also trying to like double dip and say, oh, well, we want to be aligned with whatever politicians that you're already in contact with. That Chorus might not be, or the, 36, what was it? That fucking weird ass name. 1630 fund. Might not have them in their pocket yet. And this might be a way for them to get them to align with them. But following the initial outreach, many creators expressed concerns about some stipulations. If I want to work with another politician, I have to fully collaborate with them, said one creator, who was offered the contract but ultimately declined to take it and asked not to be named. If I get Zorhan and he wants to do an interview with me, I don't want to give that to them. So it's out of selfishness, right? Because even if you want to argue, no, these guys are actually like Democratic loyalists, Democratic Party loyalists. They wouldn't have an issue with this if they believe that they're helping build up this, dark money fund that is going to aid and abet the Democratic Party. But no. While they are Democratic Party fucking shills, they're first and foremost fucking selfish, greedy bastards. He's not saying, oh, this is wrong. He's saying, I don't want to fucking share that. I don't want to share that. That's what he's saying. Creators in the program are not allowed to use any funds or resources that they receive as part of the program to make content that supports or opposes any political candidate or campaign without express authorization from Chorus in advance and in writing per the contract. The contracts reviewed by Wire prohibited standard partnership disclosures. Declaring that creators will not publicize their relationship with Chorus or tell others that they're members of the program without Chorus prior express consent. They also forbid creators from disclosing the identity of any funder and give Chorus the ability to force creators to remove or correct content based solely on the organization's discretion if that content was made at a Chorus organized event. There are some real advantages to housing this program in a nonprofit. It gives us the ability to raise money from donors. It also, with this structure, avoids a lot of public disclosure or public disclaimers. Paid for by blah, 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 that you see on political ads. We don't need to deal with any of that. Your names aren't showing up, like reports filed with the FEC. The Federal Election Commission declined to comment, of course. Jesus, bro. It's also fucking rigged. It's annoying. Because it's kind of like, you don't even give me a chance to like really buy into these fucking conspiracy theories, right? Because it's in your fucking face. There's no need for them. The goal of Chorus, according to a fundraising deck obtained by Wired, is to build new infrastructures to fund independent progressive voices online at scale. The creators who join the incubator are expected to attend regular advocacy trainings and daily messaging check-ins. Those messaging check-ins are led by Cohen on rapid response days. The creators also have to attend at least 2 chorus newsrooms, events per month, which are events chorus plans, often with lawmakers. And this is why it's so annoying to be like, oh, we have an independent media. No, we fucking don't. No, we fucking don't. We have media competing against each other within a very, very rigid, confined political space. Elizabeth Du Bois, an assistant professor and university research chair in politics, communication, and technology at the University of Ottawa, who has researched the ways influencers are reshaping US political system, says that we are seeing influencers being pulled into these dark campaigns or shadow campaigns where the legal aspect is murky at best. Sometimes it is actually clear the influencers are being used, for example, evade spending limits. Being used to evade spending limits. I think that we need to remember that for democracy to thrive, we need transparency around who is paying for political messages. Yeah, no, I agree. Alex Jones was probably cashing checks, or I think he was cashing checks. Don Hyder, chief executive of Markula Center for Applied Ethics at Santa Clara University, says that the outline restrictions violated ethical norms. If the contract for getting money from a particular interest group says you can't disclose it, then it's pretty simple. You can't take that money. We're living in an era where a lot of powerful people have basically taken the rule book and thrown it out the window. But they only want you to think that Trump's done this. Only Trump would do this. The norms, the fucking norms. Keith Edwards, a Democratic content creator who has skyrocketed to fame on YouTube since starting his channel this season. Wow. Keith Edwards, a Democratic content creator who has skyrocketed to fame on YouTube since starting his channel last year, was not invited to be part of the program, but believes that the way it was structured seemed predatory. He says that he would never agree to take part in a program that was run in secret or wouldn't allow him to disclose funding. Let's find out who he is. All right. Man, really blew up. Really retro. Oh, it's like the Daily Show. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like when you're celebrating.
I gotta admit, this is pretty funny.
Gavin Newsom. Yeah, there is no fucking lower hell for you. What I don't understand is why wouldn't you just donate to creators directly who have already built something and just need to put gasoline on the fire, says Edwards. Democrats at least understand that the internet exists now, so that's good, but they still think influencers are just there to do a terrible direct-to-camera interview that no one watches rather than just treating us like another form of media. He said, pay us, but pay us the right way. Pay us in such a way that we're able to have plausible deniability, is what he's saying. The influencers offered the funding were given just days to sign the contract, which was essentially presented on a take it or leave it basis. At least one cohort was specifically told they could not have their lawyers read. Holy fuck. First of all, these people are rich enough to have fucking lawyers. Let's get that understood first. In the group chat formed to discuss the contract negotiation, some creators discussed a clause prohibiting the disparagement of other creators. Not being able to criticize anyone else affiliated with Chorus felt restrictive to some, according to text messages posted to the chat. Bro, again, they're not even concerned about democracy. What they're concerned about is, am I going to be able to talk my shit about my competition? Now, that pettiness I do respect, understand, and appreciate. Don't get me wrong. Man. Colombiano, I'm going to look at his content. I'm gonna look at his content, and if it's Oh man, it just better be. Oh, you know what? Let's find out. Let's find out. Let's find out. What was his fucking name? Ba, 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 ba. Okay, here we are. He's right here. He's right here. He's right here. Sorry, Edwards. Keith Edwards. It's too generic. Let's see here. I see Trump flees in panic as ceasefire deal falls apart. But that's more of a Trump thing. I don't know. I'm not seeing any here. I mean, that's the test with these fucking liberals. Do they cover anything about Gaza? See what I mean by they don't have to be on the payroll? Epstein, Zelensky owns Trump. Okay, all right. Okay, Marianne Williamson, a fucking Zionist. But I'm looking for anything on Palestine. Okay, let's do Palestine instead of Gaza. Maybe that'll help. Nope. Yeah, so this is what I mean. Some people don't have to get paid to do the bidding of the Democratic Party. But I hear you, Colombiano. He focuses on bashing Republicans and he doesn't spend much time on Gaza or Palestine. I think it's a lot of these influencers are scared to have an opinion on Israel. No, it's not that they're scared. They don't want to lose money. They don't want to lose opportunities. It's a business decision. He's a coward, morally speaking, spiritually speaking. He's a coward, but I don't think he's like actually frightened of anything other than his like political ambitions being thwarted. Excuse me, his media career covering politics thwarted. Eventually, the creators in the group chat agreed to drop the issue they had. I don't think Chorus is out to screw us. Or Lindsay, creator who was offered $80,000 per month, said in the group chat. Some influencers for Chorus Creators Incubator Program were offered as little as $250 per month. Bro, I would feel disrespected. I ain't making that. I ain't making that type of money. But I would feel disrespected. I've only been paid by YouTube one time. And these people, you know, they're getting paid, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube, what have you. Like, they're making money, monthly money off of this. So I don't understand why $250 would have you agreeing to sign something so restrictive and so corrupt, really. According to one creator who declined to accept the deal, while others were offered memberships into a amplifier cohort, which provides up to $8,000 a month. That is just so low. Bro, like, I would be arguing for at least 10. What the fuck are you doing? You gotta think about fucking taxes and all that shit, you know? Lana 250 is a slap in the face. And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying this is fucking brokey. You know what I mean? The 1630 Fund has emerged as a powerful funder in democratic spaces in recent years. Its website notes that issues supported by the organization include economic equity, affordable healthcare, climate solutions, racial justice, voter access, and other essential social change goals. The organization was founded in 2009 as a liberal response to conservative dark money groups and organizations like the Koch Network and other Trump it has soared. In 2018, the 1630 Fund provided $141 million to more than 100 left-leaning causes in order to bolster Democratic support during the midterms, according to a tax filing obtained by Politico. In 2020, the fund distributed more than 400 million, according to the organization's public tax filing, which Politico said was used in efforts to unseat to unseat then President Donald Trump and Republicans Senate majority in 2020. The 1630 fund spent 196 million backing state ballot measures on abortion rights headed into the midterms, according to NBC. Just 4 donors accounted for close to 2/3 of the fund's revenue in 2023, according to its tax filings. The largest donor gave the group $50.5 million, with others donating $31.4 million and $21.8 million and $13.6 million. Damn, that is not chump change. That is not chump change. Damn. That's crazy. The 1630 Fund, which is not required to disclose its contributors, has for years been a major funding source for liberals and progressive causes and groups, including those that spend in elections. Okay. Says Walker Davis, a research director for the open government group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Man, okay. Though their recent tax returns indicate that they have pulled back from the eye-popping sums they raised and spent in 2020, the organization is still one of the top spending politically oriented nonprofits in the country. Chorus, which is described in contrast. Damn, I'm struggling today. Give me one sec. My lips were chapped. This arm over here was like continuously moving and I was getting fucking irritated. Couldn't focus. Usually I have my chapstick right next to me. I don't know why I left it across the room. That was not smart of me. Sweeter than anything. Appreciate you catching up. 2 times speed. Props to you. Thank you so much. Yeah, look. I'm not saying I wouldn't take the money. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't take I would not take that money. I don't think it's worth it, especially with those restrictions. I don't think it's worth having your name and reputation smeared. All those people that have that following, that accepted this and have been exposed, should lose. First of all, I mean, I think that just the terms and services of some of these platforms will require you to expose the fact and reveal the fact that you're being paid for your opinions. Because if they're restricting you to such an extent, we don't know what to believe is true and honest. What you would have said if you didn't have that contract signed. That they didn't even let your lawyers look over is fucking wild and hilarious. I mean, that alone should have said no, right? It should have been the red flag. I don't know why. Ridiculous. Anywho. But like I said, for chump change like that, 250 and even 8,000, and I said 8,000 a month would be life changing to me for sure. However, it would still be a no because you're saying I'm not allowed to be honest with people about my business. That is crazy for me. That is crazy. And you know these people are making fucking money. That's the deal. That's the thing. These people are making real fucking money out here. Horus, which is described in contracts reviewed by Wired as a project of the 1630 fund that handles operations for the Creators Program, launched in November 2024 as a nonprofit arm of Good Influence, a for-profit influencer marketing agency aimed at helping content creators connect with social good campaigns. Good Influence was funded in October 2020 by Stuart Perlmutter, the former communication director for Representative John Umorth of Kentucky, seeing an opportunity after Kamala Harris lost last November. Perlmutter, I don't know how to say that name. Perry? There's an L. Perlmutter. Perlmutter? Co-founded Chorus with the Democratic influencer Brian Tyler Cohen. No fucking way. Hold on. This fucking guy? Brian Taylor Cohen. What the fuck? This fool's involved? That's fucking funny.
My name is Brian Tyler Cohen, and if you're looking for the most watched political videos when it comes to breaking news and countering disinformation, you're in the right place.
4.72 million subscribers. And you look at his things, everything's Trump. But these are all at least 100K views. I mean, this one is 100K, but it's 50K, but it's 1 hour ago. Yeah, these are all doing at least 200K views. So he's making good fucking money on YouTube. Good 1.1 million views on the South Park coverage. A little lower here. He couldn't double up on the South Park coverage. Man. Yeah, these guys are fucking slimy. Pearl Mutter? Yeah, maybe. I'll say it like that, some person. Crazy. No, I hydrate. I drink a lot of water. I drink this motherfucker. I at least go through this. And I usually fill it up twice. And this is what, like, 64 ounces. 64 ounces. I don't know what it is. Just, and this is like the only chapstick that I really. Well, I'm not getting paid, so I'm not gonna advertise it. No, Blistex, medicated lip balm, SPF 15. Tastes pretty gross. When you kind of forget that you just applied it, but the only chapstick really that I have been able to reliably use. I went through a bunch, and some of them actually made it worse. Okay. Okay, so they described Taylor Cohen having 4.6 million subscribers on YouTube and leads messaging check-ins for creators cohort on rapid response days, according to records reviewed by Wired. Chorus claims that its initial creator cohort has a collective audience of more than 40 million followers with more than 100 million weekly viewers, and that the organization has hundreds of creators signed up and ready to amplify messaging. This is what I'm saying. We need to treat these fucking liberals as our enemy. Like, if it was up to them, clearly they would never speak about fucking, excuse me, they would never speak about the genocide occurring against Palestinians in Gaza. Let me check one more time. Hold on. The fuck was his name? Cohen something? Oh, Tyler Brian Cohen. Check.
My name is Brian Tyler Cohen.
Yeah, we heard it. Low key, I feel like I'm gonna do a version of this. I'm gonna do a version of that to be my intro. Oh man, that's hilarious. So does he also not talk about Palestine or Gaza? Wow. That is unsurprising. Let's see, Gaza, maybe not Palestine. Uh, mm, no. And I want you to understand, like, somebody like Brian Tyler Cohen, by refusing to address the genocide, when you have such a large platform and you're actually working alongside the Democratic Party, like I do think that you're complicit. Like your silence does make you complicit on that. Man. I've spent most of my career researching right-wing media and sounding alarms about the collapse of our old information environment. Eli Langford, the director of the program at Chorus, said on a Zoom call with dozens of creators in June. Our political systems haven't been able to figure out a real solution, and I've been really excited to see you all treading the path forward. I deeply, deeply believe that the work you are all doing is what's going to make the difference in supporting and, frankly, resuscitating our democracy. Already, creators in the program are creating content together in a new weekly series titled Good News in Politics. 6 creators in the program shared a collaborative video running through political wins. Huh. Assuming this can be on YouTube? Oh, come on, bro. Oh, what a fucking nightmare.
Friends. Former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper officially announced that he's running for Senate in 2026. This is a man who has never lost an election since he entered politics in 1986. Let's go. United Health is facing criminal and civil investigations for their Medicare billing practices.
Homicide rates are hitting record lows in major U.S. cities.
A man who admitted to being a fascist during a debate with Mehdi Hassan was fired from his job.
People in New York prisons will be able to use their tablets and facility phones without charge starting August 1st. This move by Governor Kathy Hochul's administration makes New York the first state to mandate free prison calls through executive action.
Despite the Trump administration shutting down the national LGBTQ extension for young people in crisis, the state of Illinois is keeping its dedicated 988 lifeline up.
You know what's sad? You know what's sad is that, again, like these people weren't able to come together without getting paid. Like if they truly believed in the Democratic Party, why didn't y'all come together and be like, hey, like let's collaborate, let's do it for democracy. Let's combat fascism this way. Why not do that? And I wonder what political experience, and I will say, I think liberals, no, fuck. I was gonna say, I feel like liberal content creators are more likely to actually be involved in political organizations, but I don't think that's true. You know, I think once that they're big, just like this, they get pulled into them, but I don't think most actually come up in them. So I think I was off there a little bit. All right. Follow these creators, bring you hope instead of doom scrolling. I mean, I thought the word hope was retired by Obama. What the fuck is going on here? While some creators have been eager to work with Chorus, others distrust the organization. This spring, Chorus faced a wave of backlash from prominent content creators whose image were included in the firm's fundraising decks without permission. I was included on some of Chorus decks like "We have access to V" when you do not, said V. Safir, a liberal content creator with over 3.5 followers on TikTok. Let's see what that's about. Wonder what names they use. Because I never heard of that fool, but I'm not on TikTok. Oh, I see. It's gonna keep. Okay, I know why that's happening. My bad. Yeah, this is lagging over here, but it's because of I'm actually on Archive, and I thought I was, or Archive, excuse me. All right. But I want to see who this is. V. Saphir. Nope, that's not going to be it. Safar. What is he on? TikTok? Credit to them. I would assume they would say yes to this. That is interesting.
Hey, it's V Spear with Under the Desk News, and this election season, I'm supporting Pizza to the Polls. Pizza to the Polls' mission is to deliver.
So literally V Sphere. That's how they're saying it? Huh. Let's see. I'm still spelling it wrong. Yeah, I'm way spelling it wrong. I don't know how to fucking even find this, but okay. I'm not doing all that. All right. Where are we at? The faces of several well-known influencers were featured prominently in the Chorus website beneath a giant donate button. However, users who clicked on the button were taken to a fundraising page for Chorus instead of anywhere their dollars would go directly to the creator. Progressive YouTuber and former Media Matters staff Kat Abagasela, who's running for Congress in Illinois, was pictured on Chorus website and included in fundraising decks without her consent. That's hilarious. Let's see, what is her name? Oh, I cannot get comfortable today. What was it? Cat Graham? No. Abu. Who are you? Who are you? Oh wait, doesn't? No, I'm confusing this. I'm confusing this white woman with the other white woman that does the reporting, right? Yeah, I think I've seen this person before, but I could be wrong. Oh well. She asks that her image and name be removed and no longer used for fundraising purposes. Saphir and other content creators have accused Chorus of attempting to establish themselves as gatekeepers to Democratic political leaders. What we need is for people to invest in independent media, and that doesn't necessarily mean investing in a consulting group that is going to become a middleman for independent media, said Saphir. Several influencers who doggedly defended Chorus throughout that controversy included Elizabeth Booker Hodgson, a Democratic comedian and content creator on Instagram, and Ali O'Brien, a progressive creator with more than 600,000 followers on TikTok, were involved in membership talks for the highest paid tier in Chorus new creator incubator program. Hodgson did not respond to requests for comment. O'Brien declined to comment. Let's find out who I want to put fucking faces to these names. All right. Let's go there. Never seen them. Who's the other one? O'Brien? I don't know. Sounds Irish to me. Can they be trusted, or are they aligned with the Catholic Church? Is the Pope whispering in their ear? I have not seen them either. Be honest, I think this one, and I think it's because this video looks a little annoying. All right, more of a stoner look here. I appreciate this a little bit more. All right. So the energy looked too high for me. Still, some creators heard about the 1630 Fund and Chorus funded initiative and applied to join. Yeah, they were fucking hungry. They were fucking hungry. Yes, Toribio, she is playing punk rock. She's a punk rocker joining Congress. She's gonna stick it to the man while being the man. Man. Let's see here. It gets too cold. It gets too hot. It's too cold. It gets too hot. Old house with no installation. One creator named Chesco, who goes by the speech prof, okay, applied to join the program because he viewed it as an opportunity to get access to people that have funding or backing and actual research that I could use. Yeah. It's the research that you wanted, pal. The speech prof. Oh, there we go. Oh, man, that's so pathetic. Wait, who are they? Profe. Huh. Ultimately, he wasn't accepted and received an email on June 26 rejecting his application. We're planning to bring more creators into the incubator program in the near future. Imagine getting rejected, like not being allowed to be a fucking sellout. That is pathetic. That is fucking pathetic. The structure of the program highlights the vast differences between how Democrats and Republicans attempt to amass online influence. Republicans have spent decades building up a powerful independent media ecosystem, though the right-wing influencer world is far more transparent. In 2024, the federal indictment alleged that the Russian state-sponsored network RT was covertly providing millions in funding to Tenet Media, a company working for major right-wing influencers including Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, and Lauren Southern. And again, everybody clowning them, all the liberals clowning them, and rightfully so, because they fucking knew. They fucking knew. Better be doing the same fucking thing to these fucking guys. Better be doing the same fucking thing. Because this is worse, because they willingly knew who they were working for and they were proactively going to try and hide it. Credit to whoever leaked this. All right. Where are we at? RT, Tenet Media. In 2024, National Republican Congressional Committee spent nearly $400,000 on work with Creator Grid, an influencer marketing company whose website says it connects Republicans candidates with the internet's most powerful conservative influencers, according to analysis of campaign finance filings from the Washington Post. See, I don't. Okay, we're gonna wrap up. Cool. Stephen Buckley, a digital media sociologist at City State George's University of London, says that these sorts of programs have been happening in the right wing for ages. But Hyder said that the structure of the 1630 Fund deal raises the question: is it ethical to match the tactics of your opponents? But that's not the fucking question. The question is not whether or not it's okay to be transparent or not, bro. The Democrats appear to have no real counter to this system. Democrats miss the next generation of media, says Brandon Gahan, a co-founder of influencer marketing agency Creator Authority. Historically, they own Hollywood, but this next generation of influencers is digital, and they've miscalculated that. I don't think they feel comfortable in arenas where they lack control. That is true. And I think fundamentally that's why Kamala Harris didn't go on Joe Rogan, because they couldn't control the space. They couldn't control the person, right? Again, we went over how that dude with the curly hair that does the hot takes on the metro or on the subway, whatever you guys want to call it. He did a fucking video. He did an episode with Kamala Harris and then refused to actually publish it because he didn't want to be accused or be held accountable for fucking costing her the election. Like, make that shit make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. You're a fucking coward. You should have fucking put it out there. She agreed to be on with you. Like, figure it out. Talk to her. Man. But yeah, I just wanted to go over that. But it's also funny how they're like, we're using the wrong words. And you know, we got to pay these motherfuckers more money so we can control what they're saying. All right. Let's find a video to look at it to wash that away. Let's find something. There was this one that I thought was interesting. And I'm going to start. Yeah, I'm going to switch some things up in the beginning of this. Let me just find the video first. That's why we're not doing that. Am I going to find it? Am I going to find it? Okay, here it is. Let me share that.
Did y'all know that bachata was once banned in the Dominican Republic for being considered too black? Yeah. In the 1960s, 1970s, bachata was the sound of Afro-Dominican neighborhoods. It was playing in bars and brothels and cabarets, and the elites considered it music of the poor. It was too vulgar, it was too sinful, it was too black, and it was too dangerous. Bachata was banned from mainstream radio for decades, but it wasn't until artists like Juan Luis Guerra in the 80s or Aventura later on that began to make bachata more global and mainstream. It was hidden, rejected, and almost erased. Today we all celebrate bachata, we all love bachata, we all dance bachata, but never forget, it was the rhythm of resistance for the black and working class Dominicans. Thank you. Honor your past. Did y'all know that
I don't know why they don't have their username here. Oh, is this one? Let's find their actual. I'm assuming this is TikTok. Awesome. Go give them a follow. That's cool. I don't know their content. I don't like I said, I don't watch TikTok, but I'm glad that they have that. You know, Juan Luis Guerra is dope as hell. Like, even when the whole Christian face thing was a lot of fun to listen to, regardless of the lyrics, you know. All right. So Kilmar Abrego Garcia to seek asylum in the U.S. in bid to avoid deportation. Man. Aaron, you know I did, bro. You know I did. Yeah, I thought about covering it, but I'm just like, nah. Yeah. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who's wrongfully deported. Excuse me. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, whose wrongful deportation made him a symbol of President Donald Trump's crackdown on immigration, wishes to seek asylum in the United States. Lawyers for Abrego Garcia told a judge on Wednesday that the 30-year-old fears persecution and torture should the Trump administration succeed in deporting him to Uganda, as it plans to do. Although Garcia, a Salvadoran man who arrived in the U.S. at the age of 16, was once again taken into custody of immigration authorities on Monday as part of a high-stakes back and forth over his ability to stay in the country. I mean, they threatened him. They told him, like, come by your own, like, free will, quote unquote, and we'll send you back to El Salvador. If not, we're sending you to Uganda. Which what implies is it's not so much where you're going, like what country, but the conditions that you're going to be forced into, right? It's like go to Sikal or find a, like a worse place for you. That's what they're saying. I don't know why this is giving me such a hard time here. There we go. Awesome. In March, Abrego Garcia's first made headlines when he was sent back to his native El Salvador despite a 2019 court order protecting him from deportation. The Trump administration initially admitted that the deportation was an administrative error. Abrego Garcia had expressed fears to the court that returning to El Salvador would subject him to gang violence. The Maryland father, who is married to a U.S. citizen, was among the deportees from the U.S. sent to El Salvador Terrorism Confinement Center. I almost call it a torture center, which essentially it is. A maximum security prison with a record of human rights abuses. While in a facility, his lawyers say he experienced torture, including severe beatings and sleep deprivation. And this part is what you don't see physically, right? That can still cause life-altering, like mental injuries. Psychological abuse is still abuse. The Trump administration initially refused to bring him back to the U.S., saying he was outside of the country's jurisdiction. But in early June, Abrego Garcia was abruptly returned just as the Trump administration unveiled criminal charges against him for alleged human smuggling. The Trump administration accused Abrego Garcia of involvement in gang activity, citing a 2020 traffic stop as evidence. In video of that stop, Abrego Garcia is seen driving through Tennessee with a van full of people, and a police officer on the scene speculates about what they might be doing, but no criminal charges were brought at the time. Yeah, because cops are known for not pursuing, for not trying to harass people. Yeah, dude probably does have PTSD. Yeah, without a doubt, to some degree, I think anyone that's forced into Sukkot will suffer from PTSD. A lot of people going in suffer from a lot of trauma, like a lot of trauma. Trump himself has pointed to Abrego Garcia's tattoos as evidence of his criminal affiliation, although the image he cited were altered to have the gang name MS-13 superimposed on Abrego Garcia's skin. I don't know if y'all remember that, but Trump it was so ridiculous.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
Yeah, that was Photoshopped.
In an interview with ABC News on Tuesday, President Donald Trump insisted that the man his administration had mistakenly deported to El Salvador back in March had a gang name tattooed on his hand, despite experts questioning otherwise.
But even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute
Well,
over that.
wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
This motherfucker really thought that he had the actual MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. Not that it represented MS-13, which honestly, and I'll be straight up, I think that's a dumbass fucking collection of tattoos to have in your hand. And I will say, I do think that is fucking suspicious. Because when I first heard that the marijuana M, the smiling is the S, the cross is the 1, and the skull is the 3, I was like, fuck, like that is a good fucking reach. That is a good fucking reach. Credit where credit is due. That is a good fucking reach. Like these motherfuckers were scratching their heads. Right? That I'm like, bro, like Does he even have these tattoos, right? Is this really him? But again, the thing is that you have to understand, for gang culture, MS-13 is not fucking subtle. They've never been subtle. That is not their thing. They're not subtle about what the fuck they're representing. And so it doesn't make sense with who we're talking about MS. I mean, we all get stupid tattoos though. When I saw it, I'm like, fuck, somebody literally thought of this. Of how to fucking put the finger on this motherfucker. Like, they really went out of the way to get creative with it. That's all I want to highlight. I don't think it means anything. Yeah, exactly. Gospy. Usually gangs affiliations are the opposite of subtle. And it's not the point to be subtle. But yeah, I just want to show y'all, remind you there. Abrego Garcia has denied any gang ties and pleaded not guilty to the smuggling charges. His lawyers have depicted the indictment as a vindictive and selective prosecution designed to discredit Abrego Garcia after his case drew criticism against Trump's deportation policies. Fuck, I forgot to look at something. They have also argued that Abrego Garcia case illustrates the lack of due process for deportees. Abrego Garcia was released from a Tennessee jail on Friday after repeated delays. His legal team feared he would be immediately rearrested if he were freed and petitioned the court to keep him behind bars for his safety. That's where we're fucking at. And that is the true fucking heartbreaking part. Man. Mag, I get the MS part, but the cross being a 1 and the skull being a 3. I mean, the cross being a 1 is kind of simple because it's like the main pillar would just be a 1. And then the skull being a 3, I always thought that it like the 2 eyes and like the mouth, like a jack-o'-lantern, but then you got the nose. So what does that mean? That's what I'm saying. It's a reach. It's a reach. I don't think it's right. I don't want anyone walking away thinking like, oh, maybe. No. I'm saying credit for the reach. You got creative. You were given a task of, lying on this man, and you actually worked double time. Was not expecting that, to be honest, from these fucking racists. I thought it was just gonna be a clear cut, clear cut fucking straight racism. He's brown. What else do you want? He's got a tattoo. That's close fucking enough. More time. Okay. Sweeter than anything, gang members. Hey guys, I'm down for life, but I'd rather keep the tats low key. I'd hate for my in-laws to judge me. Exactly. Yeah. Because one thing brown partners are known for is not upsetting your in-laws. We never have beef with the in-laws. When appearing at a check-in with immigration authorities on Monday, he was indeed taken back into detention and slated for deportation to Uganda. I mean, that alone has to be treated as a human right violation. That same day, federal judge in Maryland, Paula Chinas, temporarily blocked Abrego Garcia's second deportation while she heard his petition against his removal. Hearings are scheduled for October in the case. The news agency AFP has reported that the Trump administration had previously offered to send Abrego Garcia to Costa Rica instead of Uganda if he agreed to plead guilty to the human smuggling charges that he declined. But he declined. Okay, so it was Costa Rica, not back to El Salvador. Honestly, and it's heartbreaking to say that would have been the better deal if he was not incarcerated in Costa Rica, right? So credit to him, to his family, for being so resilient, and anyone aiding him, especially legally, credit to them. Just genuinely like much appreciation because, if we're gonna play this courts game, which Donald Trump and previous presidents have demonstrated. I mean, Andrew Jackson said, to the Supreme Court, yeah, you with what army? So it's all a facade. It's fugazi, all right? The legal system is fucking fugazi. But if this is gonna establish some form of like, hey, you're outright violating all these peoples, all these undocumented people who are doing it the right way, their rights, and that somehow could come back to bite Donald Trump administration in the ass. One can hope, but obviously we're realists, we're jaded here, and saying that this is just trying to play the long game. But it looks like the Trump administration has really taken offense to Abrego being released, and they want their lick back. This is a matter of pride, and that's when it gets dangerous. Although I will say that on the plus side, though, is his life. I don't think they're stupid enough to take him out. If anything, they'll try to protect him. But then again, they could say like, "Well, see, he was involved in a gang, and that's why he succumbed to prison violence," right? Which is a almost perfect segue. Give me 1 second. We'll wrap it up here. That they're holding him. That they're holding Costa Rica as a carrot and using Ghana as a stick to try to coerce him to plead guilty to a crime is such a clear evidence that they're weaponizing the immigration system in a manner that is completely unconstitutional, says Simon Salvador Moschenberg, one of his lawyers. And yeah, I mean, that's the truth. And what I mean by perfect segue, right? This pinche vendido. This pinche vendido. I hope, si hay un pinche infierno, cabrón, que ahí andes también sufriendo. También sufriendo, papi. También ahí. Bien calientito. Bien calientito, papá. Ahí vas a estar. Fuck that shit, bro. All right. Facing charges over Long Beach assault, Border Patrol agent confirmed dead. The deceased made headlines last month after he was charged in July with 7 felonies and misdemeanors for drunkenly approaching a woman with a firearm in a woman's restroom, and then later injuring a police officer while resisting arrest. This is who they're fucking hiring. And this is from LA Taco by Alexis Oliver Ray. A U.S. Border Patrol agent who was recently charged with assaulting a Long Beach police officer and resisting arrest has died. A spokesperson for the Riverside County Sheriff's Department confirmed with LA Taco. 29-year-old Isaiah Anthony Hodgson made headlines last month after he was charged on July 11th with 7 felonies and a misdemeanor for drunkenly approaching a woman with a firearm in a woman's restroom at a restaurant in Shoreline Village in Long Beach. I mean, obviously the plan was to, assault her. Man. And then later injuring a Long Beach police officer while resisting arrest. The conduct exhibited by Mr. Hodgson, a Border Patrol agent who has the duty to uphold the law and protect the citizens, is unacceptable and deeply troubling, Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman said in a press release announcing charges against Hodgson. No one is above the law, regardless of their position or badge. Law enforcement officers have a responsibility to always conduct themselves with integrity and professionalism. Our office will pursue prosecution accordingly to ensure justice is served. After being arrested, Hodgson pleaded not guilty to all charges at a Long Beach courthouse and was released from custody. He faced a maximum sentence of 7 years in state prison if he was found. Jeez. I mean, that's a wrap right there. Those 7 is for sure. I mean, yeah. I was gonna say in good behavior, but clearly he's a violent individual, so that 7's gonna be 10 in no time. He faced a maximum sentence of 7 years in state prison if he was convicted on all charges, according to the DA's office. Hodgson, most recent court date was on August 20th, according to court records, and he was due back in court for a preliminary hearing on September 24th. What is the, hold on, 1 second. Let me see if I can log into this. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. I forgot to create an account. Yeah, bro, just fucking log in. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Let's finish this article here. What the fuck? Why are y'all making me do this? I want to support, but I'm not gonna do this right now. Oh, can I show that I'm doing this? Look, I'll hit up LA Taco. I'll make it all right. Oh, I swear. All right, here we go. I low-key kind of have to. I'm not even lying. I kind of have to. Because they're doing fucking great work. I'm not even trying to be sarcastic or anything. They're doing great fucking work. Let me see. Where are we? Okay. Fucking burning that bridge before it's built is hilarious. All right. Just gonna be a little wonky for y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's as good as it gets there. Man, yeah, I'm sorry. All right. Yeah, every site needs username, passwords, and all that stuff. Oh wait, was that it? That's hilarious. I was bamboozled, or was this just they're only sharing the 1 second. Let me double check here. Oh yeah, I see what happened. Oh well. I'm not I think we got the gist of it. Yeah, they're not gonna they're not going to show the rest of that, which is fine. The point is, and the reason why I made the thumbnail that way was this whole idea that undocumented people commit crimes. And that there's somehow a threat to the safety and well-being of the country. And specifically to white people and white women. And that's why we need to incarcerate them and get rid of them, deport them no matter where it's at, give them no due process and all this shit for our safety, for our safety, for our safety, for our safety. And yet again, just another example of how the people that you hire to be the oppressors, to be the attack dogs of the state, are actually more of a threat. I mean, that type of personality is attracted to violence, is attracted to dehumanizing people, is attracted to subjugating, marginalized, oppressed people. That's how they get off. While Abrego Garcia fights for his freedom, that dumb motherfucker ICE agent, gave up his life to avoid accountability. Checks out. That's a great question, sweeter than anything. I wonder how well a CPS HPV agent gets treated in a regular state facility. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Hopefully not. I mean, it's prison, so nothing's gonna be nice. But I wonder whether or not he would get protection from the pigs working the prisons. All right, so this is hilarious. Jeffries leading bipartisan house trip for Israel and Jordan. In the Jewish state, the group of 8 plans to commemorate Yom HaShoah. Like during the fucking genocide, bro. These people have no shame and no fucking souls. And it's like, yes, we're gonna reform the fucking Democratic Party as fucking Hakeem Jeffries is out there in the middle of a genocide. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries announced on Tuesday that he is leading a bipartisan group of colleagues on an official trip to visit important allies and partners in the United Kingdom, Denmark, Israel, and Jordan. In the Middle East, quote unquote, the group will meet with senior officials in Israel and Jordan to discuss the challenges that exist with Iran and its proxies, as well as the opportunity to secure a durable ceasefire in Gaza that brings home the hostages, surges humanitarian aid to Palestinian civilians in harm's way, and sets the stage for a just and lasting peace in the region, the minority leader stated. And again, Palestinian civilians in harm's way. In harm's way. In the way, apparently. Like how do you even word that to say in harm's way when they're being targeted? When they're being targeted and repeatedly attacked. While in Israel, we will also participate in Yom HaShoah observance, he added. Like the fucking humiliation ritual is not enough. The other participants are Representative Ann Wagner, who is a Republican, Gregory Meeks, a Democrat, Madeline Dean, a Democrat, Marilyn Strickland, a Democrat, and Greg Lantzman, a Democrat. Laura Friedman, a Democrat from California, and Amada Coleman Redewan, a Republican who represents America Samoa. Because the U.S. is not a settler colonial project, right? So, with this in mind, when the minority leader is visiting the Zionist entity, you don't think they still would have continued the genocide under a Kamala Harris administration? Then you're a fucking idiot. I don't know what to tell you. So all those fucking rad-lib, liberal, sock them, progressive political commentators on here that were trying to get you to vote for Kamala Harris. They were trying to get you to sell your fucking soul for the Democratic Party. Saying, no, things would be better. Things would be different. All this shit. Oh, we could push them to the left. This is what they're doing when they don't have power. They could be grandstanding. They could be grandstanding right now. And pumping up their chest and speaking out of their both mouths, all of that shit, to at least be perceived as not genocidal monsters. That is too much for them. So what the fuck do you think they would have been doing if they had power? Man. Look at this. While Trump is creating chaos around the world, we are focused on reaffirming alliances and strengthening partnerships that keep America secure. They're essentially going around begging leaders to say, hey, support us and we won't cause you that much trouble. We'll kill everybody quietly. That's what they're saying. We'll bring some law and order to the international scene again. I'm grateful to join this bipartisan delegation and take part in important and serious discussions across Europe and the Middle East, he added. We have to work together to promote stability and strong relationships. Man. Anti-Israel bias is everywhere. Help us share the facts. Go fuck yourself. My God. That's what the Democrats are doing right now. That's who, these political commentators that are being paid $250 to $8,000 a month, the Brian Tyler Cohens, that's who they're trying to advocate for. That's who they want everyone to continue to vote for. And again, it doesn't just stop with people actually on the payroll. It includes the Hassan Pikers who are smearing the Green Party, who are refusing to platform the PSL. It is the Sam Cedars who again have been smearing the Green Party, who blame Ralph Nader, even though Ralph Nader turned around and did the whole the Noam Chomsky bullshit, not being best friends with Epstein that I know of, but believing in the boogeyman that is Donald Trump. Well, how can you call him a boogeyman if you're just, going through how he's targeting Abrego, Garcia? Isn't that evidence? I'm like, yeah, nobody would be talking about that if Kamala Harris would have been elected. Simple as that. They would not need to Photoshop anything on his knuckles. As simple as that. There was no question in my mind that she was going to try and double Obama's numbers. I mean, she was already thumping her chest saying like, oh, we're going to create the deadliest military in the world. They're already pushing forth that atrocious border bill that literally only Donald Trump stopped. And he wasn't even in office. So that goes to show like how weak the Democratic Party truly is, even when they try to move right. Yes, Kaiser Hams. Would Harris have done this to quote deportations? There are qualitative differences in the cruelty. No, I agree with you. I don't think she would have aligned with El Salvador, with fuck, why am I blanking out on this whose fucking name? The now forever fucking president of El Salvador. What's this fucking sleazeball's name? Fucking slimy looking motherfucker. Chat, come on, help me out. What's his name? Bukele. Yes, thank you. No, I think we would have seen more prisons getting built, more detention centers, more concentration camps along the border being built, more humane concentration camps along the borders. I don't think they would have been outsourced. I think it would have been local, and I think it would have been a scratching the back of Border Patrol, to be honest. I think that's what it would have been. Relocked, her border would have been a horror, but she wouldn't have been shipping people to torture facilities. No, the torture facilities would have been here. You have to understand, Obama, the way that he tried to avoid making it seem like he wasn't deporting so many people, is he doubled up or something like that. He added more Border Patrol along the safest routes through the desert. That way, more people died trying to cross the desert. And then he could wash his hands and say, well, we didn't kill him. But you created the conditions where they had to go through the worst parts of the desert. And then you had all these fucking Minutemen and Border Patrol included destroying water that organizations were leaving along these dangerous routes. And they would destroy the waters. So I agree. I don't think she would have outsourced this to Bukele. I think she would have kept it at home, and it would have increased Border Patrol's, pocketbooks. It would have increased, the relationship between the Democratic Party and Border Patrol. And that would have been normalized. Again, remember, whether you like it or not, during Trump's first administration, when he was separating families, the facilities that he was holding the families in were created during the Obama administration. Oh, but they were being used different, this and that. Again, as we said it before, there is a difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, but the Democratic Party, liberals in general, always lay the groundwork and give the tools that the fascists come along, that the rabid fucking fascists come along and implement to its worst abilities. But it's the liberal that normalizes their existence to begin with, who justifies the need for them. Now tell me how a second Biden regime or Biden in a half over here with Kamala Harris would have worked out differently for Palestinians. How former Biden officials defend their Gaza policy. The former president's support for Israel abetted a humanitarian catastrophe. But Jacob Lewell, who served as U.S. ambassador to the country, still thinks that the Trump White House could learn from its predecessor. It's fucking disgusting, man. During the war in Gaza, already the fucking New Yorker. Already the fucking New Yorker. Already. First fucking, like, first sentence. First fucking sentence. 5 words in. During the war in Gaza. Already complicit in fucking whitewashing a genocide. There have been 2 major stages of aid delivery to Palestinians. The original effort, led largely by the United Nations, which involved hundreds of facilities, and the current system run by Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, an American nonprofit set up with Israeli backing. Last March, after Israel ended a ceasefire with Hamas, Benjamin Netanyahu's government imposed a near total aid cutoff to the territory until well into May, at which point GHF took over. The UN's food deliveries had not been able to meet the overwhelming need in Gaza, but at least they had taken place all over the territory. The GHF opened only 4 sites. Hundreds of Palestinians have been shot amid the chaos there. Since July 1st, 204 people have died of malnutrition. The total Palestinian death toll for the war, is now more than 62,000. Even President Donald Trump acknowledged the starvation, which was Biden acknowledging that. I mean, I hate these type of fucking comparisons. I really do. I think they're fucking pointless. Because you're giving these people fucking credit for like the most basic human fucking acknowledgement possible. And it just provides cover for them actually being human fucking beings and not demons in human clothing. Where are we at? In response, Netanyahu allowed more aid into the territory, and Mike Huckabee, Trump's ambassador to Israel, announced that the GHF would create more aid distribution sites. But Gazans continue to starve, and Netanyahu has said that he plans to expand the war in occupied Gaza City. In Israel, this has spurred protests against his government and families of the remaining hostages held by Hamas. There are believed to be about 20 still alive, argue that he is continuing the war for political reasons. It 100% is, but it's to finally finish, what the Zionist founders dreamt of. But after that, it's going to be Greater Israel. In a recent piece in Foreign Affairs titled How to Stop a Humanitarian Catastrophe, a former Biden administration official, Jacob J. Lewis and David Satterfield, explained why they believe that the Trump administration is failing where they're succeeded. Literally, where they're succeeded, when they literally initiated through their Zionist proxy this genocide. Like, we are only here because of a Democratic administration. Never let these fucking liberals forget that. Liu became ambassador to Israel less than a month after October 7th, and Satterfield was Biden's special envoy for humanitarian issues in the region. In the piece, they write, although the results of our work never satisfy us, much less our critics, in reality, the efforts we led in the Biden administration to keep Gaza open for humanitarian aid relief prevented famine. They want a fucking pat on the back. No, exactly, Sweeter Than Anything. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, the fact that they don't mention that GHF is just a fucking, essentially a paramilitary group, They're just a bunch of fucking mercenaries. I think it was The Intercept, right? that talked about this. Blah, blah, blah. It's not aid, humanitarian foundation. Is this it? No. Jesus. Jeez, there's so fucking much, man. But we're not gonna find it here. It's gonna be. I spelled foundation wrong. Man, there was a story about that, and actually was gonna cover it and completely forgot. Forgot the article I was looking for. Yeah, I seen him do these the rounds, but I'm forgetting there's a specific article that I was looking for. That I was gonna go. Let's see. Is it this one? When was this published? Yeah, I think it might have been this one. When theology kills the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and the Christian Zionist agenda. The GHF offers a gospel of charity with one hand while authorizing sniper fire with another. When Reverend Joni Moore, a Trump-aligned Christian Zionist, was selected to lead the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the appointment was framed as a mission of mercy. In reality, it was a calculated move reflecting a theology that sanctifies suffering and weaponized aid to serve empire. The GHF is the United States and Israeli-backed entity established in February 2025 under the guise of delivering emergency food, water, and medicine to a population devastated by bombs and blockades. Bombs dropped and blockades enforced by the very governments funding the aid. GHF bypassed United Nations infrastructure and funnels resources through fortified aid hubs surrounded by biometric scanners, militarized checkpoints, and private American security contractors. Global humanitarian leaders have widely condemned GHF, and its initial executive director, former U.S. Marine Jake Wood, resigned in May, stating that the GHF could not meet humanitarian principles of humanity, neutrality, impartiality, and independence. When you have a U.S. fucking Marine saying, nope, these are fucking animals, they're not joking. It's not something to take fucking lightly. What appears to be humanitarian relief is a choreographed catastrophe. Since the GHF launch, over 400 Palestinians have been killed and thousands injured while attempting to access aid. One U.S. Security contractor described the chaos and Sataya. Sorry, this is Sateo. Fuck Mehdi Hassan. Metal lanes collapse under pressure as desperate civilians are funneled into kill zones. What these American companies and contract personnel are doing is directly leading to more pain, suffering, and death for the Palestinians in Gaza. The Israeli military is not so secretly embedded in GHF operations. U.S. contractors shared radio communications with Israel Defense Forces units with snipers and tanks operating within earshot. The contractors added, "I will not be surprised if the aid was delivered at night deliberately, given it would then draw people out, at which point they could be fired on as combatants even though they weren't." Christian Zionism claims to stand with Israel, but in practice it turns both Jewish and Palestinian lives into pawns in violent political theology that demands blood to feel righteous. eh. The reason I go it's just because they're aligned with. It's not like they're fucking manipulating. It's a symbiotic relationship. Christian Zionists and Jewish Zionists. Symbiotic relationship. That's what it is. This narrative, where Christian Zionist leaders claim victory while erasing the suffering caused by their own policies, is part of a carefully crafted theological strategy. My seminary thesis, Bad Theology as a Social Determinant of Health, argues that theologists built on white supremacy like Christian nationalism and Christian Zionism transform faith into a political force that legitimizes structural violence by driving policy, justifying oppression, and becoming a cause of disease, displacement, and death. In this worldview, the modern state of Israel is a divine actor in prophecy. Palestinians are obstacles to redemption, and every military escalation is recast as sacred inevitability. So, when global outrage over mass starvation in Gaza grew, too loud to ignore, GHF emerged, not as a bridge to recovery, but as a theater benevolence. Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich made the logic plain when he said that aid was allowed only as a prerequisite of international legitimacy to conduct this war. In other words, humanitarianism became camouflage, and aid is required to sustain the optics of righteousness while the siege continues. And this author's on fucking point. I've never actually heard of Common Dreams, I don't think. I might have just seen like the link to this, but I could be wrong. It might have been on the Intercept, but I'm appreciating this a lot more. The brazenness of this theological complicity has only been intensified even before Israel's bombing campaign against Iran began. Christian Zionist leaders were at the forefront of urging escalation. I mean, they want fucking bloody Armageddon. They desire it. They go to a dream praying for it, framing regional war as a necessary prelude to prophetic fulfillment. Once the Iran-Israel war began, they did not grieve the violence, they celebrated. Mike Huckabee, a longtime evangelical ally of President Donald Trump and now the U.S. ambassador to Israel, proclaimed on social media that Trump was spared for assassination to fulfill God's plan in the region. In this worldview, every missile launch and every city bomb becomes a step in a divine script. Christian Zionist leaders are not bystanders to this destruction, but are its interpreters and enablers. They're their fucking cheerleaders. They're cheerleading this shit. They feel the fucking Holy Spirit, and it's just the bloodthirsty demon inside of them. Christian Zionism does not just erase Palestinian life, it instrumentalizes Jewish death. It claims to defend Israel, and then it gets into a fucking liberal Zionist fucking angle here at the end. It claims to defend Israel while advancing a theology in which the majority of Jews are expected to die in a coming apocalypse. As Stephen Sizer documents in Christian Zionism, Roadmap to Armageddon, evangelical writers describe the rapture as the time of Israel's greatest bloodshed in a Holocaust in which at least 750 people will perish. This is not solidarity. It is, how do you say that? Eschatological anti-Semitism cloaked in prophecy and wrapped in American flag. Let's see. Huh. Eschatological. Eschatological. Okay. Anti-Semitism. Relating to death, judgment, and the final destiny of the soul and the humankind. Huh. Literally chat. Eschatological. Eschatological. Escat. Logical. Huh? Actually, let's find out for reals. Let's see. Jeez.
Eschatological.
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 Slow it down.
Eschatological.
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 Jesus, I fucking... Is that Nawa or what? Holy shit. What fucking deity is this?
Eschatological.
You dare? You dare doubt the chat? No, I just see greater understanding. Oh, great chat. Man. All right. Where are we? Oh, this is so fucking appalling too by the New Yorker. Where is it? Let's see. Critics. The fact remains that through the first year and a half of relentless war, Gazans did not face mass starvation because humanitarian assistance was reaching them. So he's basically saying like, oh, it was taking us longer to kill them all. Or we're killing them humanely. And so here's the start of the interview. Where is it? But I just want to be clear. People were starving to death in 2024. I know mass starvation did not happen, but people were dying, correct? I can tell you that we did not see evidence of mass starvation leading to death. We did see children, and some of them were children, with disease who are particularly susceptible, and it's tragic. Any civilian, any child dying of malnutrition is tragic. So I'm not in no way saying there weren't problems. Until March 2025, it wasn't great, but people were surviving. Fucking animal, bro. And it was not an accident. It took constant... I mean, you're right, it wasn't a fucking accident. It was very deliberate. And Genocide Joe and Holocaust Harris helped cover for that. You're fucking leaders. Y'all led this. Y'all normalized this. Because it starts off with just a few fucking people starving. And then, oh, well, now it's mass starvation. Now it's the Republican Party's fault. Now it's Donald Trump. We need to get rid of them. We need to vote for liberals, for Democrats. That'll fix this. It's not like they initiated this fucking death. And it wasn't an accident. It took constant engagement to keep that flow. I would never say there was no problem. I think the reports of famine were premature and exaggerated. Man. Even in my last month, there was a report that I found extremely troubling where it said that there was a serious risk of famine in the north, literally as we were working day and night to open the routes for food to get in to the people who were still in that very northern part of Gaza. And it's fucking stupid too, because it's like, how were you conducting this research? Through the fucking Zionist proxy? Through those actually carrying out this fucking death and destruction? I'm sure it was fucking reliable. Interviewer. It seems that part of what is going on with what you said, or premature warnings of famine, was that humanitarian groups would warn of famine And then once things got bad enough, Israel would increase the amount of aid coming in. Doesn't what you are saying suggest that too? You are saying you would pressure the Israelis and therefore they would open the tap a little bit more. And things would get a little bit better. And that's not happening as much in the Trump administration to the starvation. So the starvation has gotten worse. Well, look, when I got to Israel on November of 2023, the country was shell-shocked. Oh, the poor fucking colonizers. It was in a state of trauma from October 7th. They're trauma victims. They're trauma victims. They're the real fucking victims. That any of us in New York on September 11th would understand in a very visceral way. So people were not making the, I mean, these fucking Zionists were celebrating that. That's a different way, but okay. So people were not making decisions based on long-term thinking. I would say that once we got into November, we had engagement with senior policymakers who understood that there was a need to address humanitarian concerns. The challenge was that it was a country that didn't understand exactly the scope of the humanitarian needs, and there was a right-wing element of Netanyahu's coalition government that was opposed and had other views that were threatening to bring down the coalition. How did you get decisions to be taken without caution, without causing the government to collapse? Now, people have asked, why did we care about that? Because you work with the government that you have. We don't vote in the elections in other countries. We don't choose the leaders. Oh, man. What is this? How many coups has the U.S. done? Can I get a straight fucking number? I think it's like 200 or something, like the real number, right? 0 through 9? What the fuck? What do you mean 0 through 9? At least fucking AI is saying 72. At least AI is saying fucking 72. Fucking Bolton over here. People are now fucking celebrating him, right? Now people are fucking praising this motherfucker. But yeah, we're not gonna get a straight number. Never mind the USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development, has been soundly exposed as a internment front for the CIA. And remember, Sam Cedar was crying about this. Fucking CIA Cedar himself. By supporting the government in power is a little different than saying we're going to help this government to survive. We didn't do that, Isaac. We never took a position one way or another on what the government should be. There were people in the government who thought we wanted to fall, There were people outside of the government who thought we weren't doing enough. We worked to make policy with the government that's in place. In the essay, you write, given the tensions with the government, it took active and consistent U.S. engagement to manage the... I'm sorry. Didn't it fucking come out? Didn't the fucking Zionists themselves have to admit that, yeah, Joe Biden never checked us until Donald Trump kind of did. Okay. If the goal was to get aid in, some people would say that keeping the current government afloat was a bad idea. Another possibility would have been to seriously threaten to stop arming them. How do you respond to that? Look, I think President Biden was clearly immediately after October 7th. That he would support Israel in achieving the military objective of defeating Hamas. There was also a debate about what that meant, and we engaged diplomatically on the difference between defeating Hamas as a military and governing authority and eliminating the last Hamas fighter, which we didn't believe at the beginning, and I don't believe today is possible. But our goal was to help Israel defend its people and its country. That was not something that we used as a general matter to say, if you don't do other things we want, we'll stop defending you. Part of that was the President Biden was so clear in his position that it wouldn't have been credible. True, it would not have been credible, and it shouldn't have never been taken as credible. We'll stop defending you from accusations by the International Criminal Court as carrying out a fucking genocide. That's the defense they're providing. Well, Biden still had the power to do it. I'm not saying he was going to, but he could have, right? Right. But when he was vice president, Joe Biden was famous for saying, great power can't bluff. It was something that is deep inside him. His commitment to supporting Israel is legitimate. Just fight. Excuse me. Just fight was clear, and that had to coexist with pressing. Hold on. His commitment to support Israel in a legitimate. Okay, in a legitimate just fight. The comma should have gone there, right? His commitment to support Israel in a legitimate, comma, just fight, comma, was clear, and it had to coexist with pressing them on these humanitarian issues. Now, I don't know if the comma should have been moved, but it just read weird. With just fight was clear. This was a war that a former defense minister to Netanyahu has referred to as ethnic cleansing. Whether you agree with this characterization or not, there is a certain point at which the US could choose to stop helping Israel. Your answer is almost tautological, right? Biden wasn't going to do this, so he couldn't do this. Isaac, please. Isaac, I think you had to put things in the perspective of the time frame. We're talking about late 2023, early 2024, up until 2025. We engaged with Israel on military tactics in a very direct way. Take the decision to proceed in Rafah in May of 2024. More than 1 million Palestinians, many of whom had congregated in Rafah in the first months of the war, fled the city during the offensive. The Israeli military plan that was originally designed the Israeli military plan that was originally designed and the one that was executed were very different. If you look at the way they fought in Rafah, the reason we didn't criticize it is they took the advice that we had given them and they modified their military plans to be consistent with targeted intelligence driven attack. So we were engaging not just on humanitarian instances, we were engaging on the conduct of war. So they're complicit in fucking genocide is what they're saying. Like literally coming up with fucking genocide strategies together. Man. I'm not saying that everything went the way we would have advised, and I'm not saying that we didn't call them in the middle of the night, many times saying, what on earth is happening? What on earth just happened now? Yeah, I'm sure they were up in the middle of the night. I'm sure they were fucking up in the middle of the night. They couldn't fucking sleep, and they would find out the news and they would just be fucking heartbroken and they would have nightmares over their fucking brutality. I'm sure that happened. Yeah, I thought it'd be, it was a long time ago. 2023, you wouldn't understand. You wouldn't get it. Things were different then. So what was usually the answer when you called, asking what on earth happened in the middle of the night? Answer, the general pattern was that in the moment stories were inaccurate and that the Israeli military and government establishment were not in a position to fully explain yet. We almost never got answers that explained what happened before the story was fully framed in international media and then the facts were fully developed. It turned out that the casualties were much lower, the number of civilians was much lower, and in many cases the children were children of Hamas fighters, not children taking cover in places. They were children of Hamas fighters. Sorry, what did you just say? In many cases, the original number of casualties. No, I meant the thing about who the children were. They were often the children of the fighters themselves. And therefore, what follows from that? What follows is that whether or not it was legitimate military target flows from a population that's... What follows is that whether or not it was a legitimate military target flows from the population that's there. Hold on, Mr. Secretary. That's not in fact correct, right? Whether it's a legitimate target has to do with all kinds of things like proportionality. It doesn't matter if the kids are the kids of... If you're in a command and control center, that's different than if it's a school that's emptied out and innocent civilians are taking shelter there. If you're the commander of a Hamas unit and you bring your family to a military site, that's different. I'm not saying everything fits into that, and I'm not saying it's not a tragedy. It may shine a very poor light on Hamas, but who the kids are does not make a difference in terms of international law. It is not a simple question that is... Sorry, I'm getting fucking frustrated right now. It is not the simple question that it originally appears to be when the initial reports make it sound like the targets were just an empty school that families took cover in. In some cases, I'm not aware of the full explanation because when I left, we were still asking questions to get more details. Are you fucking serious right now? The fuck do you exit out of this? That done on purpose? That's kind of creepy, no? Hold on. Jesus fucking Christ. What the fuck's the exit of this shit, man? Is it fucking gone? Is it gone? You're right. Damn, I'm sorry. That ruined the flow of it all. It's still there? How the fuck is it still there? I mean, I use ad blocker for other shit, but hold on. Here, 1 second, y'all. Oh, I guess not. I guess it did stop there. What the fuck? Or no, it didn't. It didn't. The only downside, since this is a screenshot. Oh, maybe. No. The actual words don't like realign. So it ruins it a little bit for y'all. My apologies. It may shine a very poor light on Hamas, but who the kids are does not make a difference in terms of international law. Answer: it is not the simple question that it originally appears to be when the initial report makes it sound like the targets were just an empty school with families to cover in. In some cases, I'm not aware of the full explanation. In other words, I'm fucking lying out here. Because when I left, we were still asking questions to get more details and saying to them that they have to be able to explain these things. And I'm not going to say that none of them fall outside of the bounds of things that where there should be disciplinary actions against some of the officers involved. I don't know the answer to that. Just some of the officers involved, not the whole fucking Zionist regime. You have been saying today that the war against Hamas is justified, and you say in the piece that the military mission is defeating Hamas, but when I read the more liberal press in Israel or stories such as the giant investigation published in the New York Times a few weeks ago, it seems that the purpose of the war is to keep Benjamin Netanyahu in power. And so it feels like there's a disconnect between more liberal Americans, like those in your administration, who supported the war and who will say it needs to continue to get the hostages back and to defeat Hamas, and liberal Israelis who are saying that Netanyahu doesn't care about defeating Hamas or hostages at all. How do you think about the dissonance? Answer. I think the temptation to see things as explained by only one cause can lead to misunderstanding the complexity of what's going on. There were many moments when it was a legitimate point that there were still military objectives against Hamas. We never said, for example, that Rafah was not a serious military object. But wasn't Rafah the red line for a while? Wasn't that like the whole spiel? Man. They keep talking about the hostages and Benjamin Netanyahu. In the essay, you write a lot about the shared values of America and Israel. I mean, that is more correct than they will ever admit. But today, you have talked about pushing them to deliver aid, and you've talked about the fact that once Trump came into office and that push wasn't there, the humanitarian situation got worse. Why was there a need to push so hard? Why do they need to be pushed to not ethnically cleanse Gaza? Why do they need to be pushed to have their military act in an honorable way? If they are our shared ally and our great friend, why aren't they doing these things on their own? Now, there's a question. The environment in October and November of 2023 was how do you sustain an enemy that just slaughtered 1,200 of your citizens? The number's a lie. You had to create a way for the aid to get in without it having the effect of making your enemy succeed. It's pretty unusual. Well, the situation exists partly because Israel controlled access to Gaza, right? It's partially because of the geography of Gaza, also, and the history. It wasn't that everyone we spoke to said, we're not going to allow food in, but there had to be a means of getting the food in without accomplishing the mission of undermining the war effort. And the mood of the country was traumatized, with political threats to lead the coalition. That's a hard set of circumstances. But the reason that food stopped entering Gaza in March was not that it was too hard to do so, as you acknowledge in the piece. When the pressure stopped, the food stopped. As we say in the piece, turning food on and off cannot be used as a lever of coercion. Why was it even on the table as a lever of coercion? That's what I'm trying to understand. Answer. Look, it was hard, and there were moments when the inability to solve either logistical or strategic or military challenges seemed paralyzing, but the answer to that is you keep going at it and you work to overcome the obstacles. When you talk about shared values, we were able to engage and have a conversation conversations where we talked about issues the way we're talking about them right now. And I never had an Israeli general dismiss what we said as being inconsistent with their values. So a lot of this is a lot of fucking respectability politics, where it's like, whoa, you, a fucking journalist, question me about my aiding and abetting a genocide? That is meaner. That is meaner than any Israeli general. That's what he's saying. But again, he's not answering the question. It's like, why is aid something that you can remove or choose to stop doing? And again, this also promotes the whole American exceptionalism that we somehow have these morals, which is fucking ridiculous. I would recommend reading the entirety of this. It's the New Yorker, so be aware, the bullshit that they're spewing, that they're feeding. I mean, again, consistently calling this a war. But I think it goes to show that whatever these rad libs like Emma Vigeland, like Sam Cedar, Hassan Piker, that were willing to normalize the genocide as long as Democrats were doing it, that if they would have gotten their way and we would have gotten, I mean, let's be honest, they would have voted for Genocide Joe if he would have stayed in the race. They did vote for Kamala Harris, and we still would have seen the same atrocities occurring. There's a distinction between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, sure. But the bloodshed of Palestinians would have remained. The bloodshed of Palestinians would have remained. The excuse of, yes, some people starved, but it wasn't mass starving, would have continued to be used. But the colonization of Palestine in Gaza would not have stopped. The colonization of the West Bank would not have stopped. The aggression towards Iran would not have stopped. That would have been consistent. In fact, much like Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris would have been forced to be more audacious, more daring in order to combat the sexist idea that women cannot be fucking war criminals. Exactly. You have to remember Matthew Miller smirking and being snide at all these press Q&As every week when you read it. 100%. Yeah. Fucking ghoul of ghouls. And I just want to say thank you for joining me for this late stream. I really can't apologize this time, only because it was very important union work. I'll be streaming while doing union business. We'll see how that goes. I won't have the lighting. I won't have the setup like this. I won't have the mic, but I'll take my laptop. I need to take my laptop. There's this funny moment where in the meeting, in preparation for you know what we're going to be doing, because I've done it before, they suggested that I be heading the committee. And I said, look, I understand why you're asking me to do this, and I'm more than happy to do so. I've done it before, and there's perks to it. You get to dictate, you know, set meeting times and such. But I said, look, who's gonna be the recording secretary, right? Who's gonna be taking all the notes? Because while I would be nice to say, hey, I headed the committee twice, whatever, and gain that experience and do better this time as the head of the committee, I also know that nobody likes taking the minutes. Nobody likes taking notes. And I don't fuck around when I tell y'all that if what I need to do is fucking sweep and set up the chairs, that's what I got to do, and that's what's going to happen. So I told them, like, if nobody else wants to do this, because I know everybody hates taking fucking minutes. Everybody hates being the recording secretary. I'll do it. But if you rather somebody else do that and me, you know, head this committee again, I'm cool with that too. But just know that I'm aware that a lot of people don't like essentially taking notes. And they got quiet. They're like, all right, yeah, we'll choose somebody else to head the committee. You know, you can take the notes, you can take the minutes, you could be the recording secretary. And I'm cool with that. It's really annoying because you got to be on top of it. And it's been quite a minute since I've really practiced typing quick like that. So it's gonna be a lot of shorthand. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. It'll be fun though. But you know, when it comes to these moments where you're in an organizing space, like sometimes you just have to be honest and be like, look, nobody likes doing the X shit. Nobody likes doing this one thing. And I don't mind it as much as everybody else, so I'll do it. So that was cool. That was fun. And then again, the meeting this morning was unrelated to that. And that was interesting. Being around, you know, different union leaders who are proactively involved with the politics, the inner workings in California, it was funny because it is inspiring in a lot of ways. It is the bureaucratic work that people do not celebrate or talk about. And you know, it just makes me laugh because I'm like, and I've said this again, I've said this before, but these fucking rad libs, these bastards, at some point when I come across them, when we cross paths, they're gonna claim that I'm like too radical. They're gonna claim that I'm too radical, that I'm too this and that, and it's like I am literally doing the fucking practical work that y'all refuse to do. I'm literally doing the practical work that you refuse to do, that you praise when others are carrying out this work, but they're not critical of you. Your platform union leaders that don't know the fucking nasty ass fucking liberal Zionist normalizing fucking shit that you promote. You're cool with them. You're cool with praising the work that they do, that I praise as well, that I look forward to. Thank you, Amira. Appreciate the super chat. Super chats are on. I forgot to mention it the entire stream. Thank you, Amira. Now you got me blushing though, because I'm like, oh man, no, I wasn't saying all that to but thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. But yes. You know what I mean? But I was, I was saying all that to talk shit on all these fucking rat libs that for sure are gonna claim that I'm not, I got my head in the clouds. I mean, when I debated Sam Cedar about his liberal Zionist propaganda, he went out of his way to say that, like, oh, well, you oh, if you're so radical, why are you even looking at the majority report? It's like the same reason you're looking at Steven Crowder, the same reason you look at Ben Shapiro. What do you mean? And my politics might be radical, but I'm willing to fucking, to push that shit aside and be like, there's practical work that needs to get done today that will impact, people, hopefully in a few years, in a few months. Bro, I got notes from that meeting and I'm fucking learning about fucking bills and shit that like nobody's talking about. Definitely nobody outside of California. And I'm like, fuck, like I'm actually in these spaces. And it's one of those rare moments where like I'm kind of like low-key fucking proud of myself. And again, kind of bewildered at how I ended up here. And I'm trying to be a good fucking atheist, but part of me kind of always feels like, is this a weird fucking path that I was always meant to walk because I found my way here somehow? And that's why, like, I got plans for the channels. Like always, I need to get shit together, need to be more consistent. But if the growth of this channel is going to be inhibited because I'm actually doing work and sometimes meetings are going to collide with my streaming schedule, so fucking be it. I would say that's worth it. I would say that's fucking worth it. Because all these motherfuckers just sit on the chairs and they don't do anything. And we hear, again, the contradictions of my atheist position. I believe in praying with your feet. And I need to do more praying. I need to do more moving with my feet. And man. No, I hear you, John P. Gary. Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be everything. So it's not, that's why I'm using like recording secretary and minutes kind of interchangeably a little bit. I can't get into details. I'm sorry, John, but I hear what you're saying. And for the most part, you're right. But it is going to be important that I write down as much as possible. It's not, yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a little different. There's a reason why they're bringing in people for this, why we have to. David Barnes, you good, bro? You have inspired me to get involved. Real talk. Not any channels can really do that. You're a real one, bro. Appreciate it so much. Yeah. Wow. David Barnes. The majority report brought Chris Moss on knowing not to bring up AOC. They're fucking disgusting out there. They're fucking disgusting. Gospy, you gave hope back to me. Nah, we ain't doing that. We ain't pushing hope out here. We're pushing jaded, realistic, revolutionary optimism. But I hear you. Thank you. Yeah, no, that's what I shouldn't have said minutes. Sorry, John. I should not have used the phrase minutes. I'm just trying to be vague, motherfucker. I'm trying to muddy the waters with what I'm doing. I'm trying not to get into details. I don't want to get in trouble, and I want to be respectful too of union business. But I also if I encourage people to get involved in their union, that's what I want. Hope for the Latino community, that is. Whoosh. Ahí andamos, ahí andamos. Está difícil, man. Está difícil. Yeah. But that being said, once again, thank you, Amira, for the super chat. I appreciate you so much. I'm still weird about it. You know how it is. But thank you so much. That really does help a lot. I appreciate y'all for being active in the chat. Hit the like if you can. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We don't just sit on our ass over here. We don't just talk about it. We do pray with our feet. If that makes me a bad atheist, that is what it is. Oh, okay, for sure. I don't think the link popped up. But if the link that you're talking about, is that towards the MR interview, or what interview is that? Because the link is it's probably not going to pop up. I think I'm in the chat for whatever reason doesn't allow it. Al's, let me know if where you saw that, because I was gonna go over today. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I got my time wrong for that union meeting today. So I was gonna go over Brandon Joy Grace interview with Chris Smalls, and he was actually gonna talk about specifically about Bernie and AOC, from my understanding. So I'll try doing that tomorrow, and then yeah, just thank you so much, appreciate it. On YouTube, but whose channel? Whose channel? That's what I was wondering. Was it the Majority Report that was referenced? Because I mean, it looks like David said that they avoided that at all costs. The same way they avoided asking AOC why she was complicit in aiding and abetting the Democrat Party's proxy genocide by claiming that they were working tirelessly for a ceasefire. I'm just stalling now to see if Alice can give us if it's a YouTube channel or something like that. Yeah, they've been compromised. Bueno, I'm prolonging this. I'm getting hungry. I'm gonna go and collect some CTE. My tooth is bothering me, so I don't know if I'm being. Oh, with bad faith for sure. Yeah, we'll go over the whole thing or tomorrow, and we'll see what's up. I took some ibuprofen, so I'm feeling good right now, and my tooth isn't bothering me. So I'm like, yeah, I should go train. And I'm like, if I get hit, it's just gonna make it worse. And I don't know what's wrong with it really. So I'll see what's going on. I was unable to schedule a doctor's appointment until the week after next. So we'll see how that goes. All right, but thank you, Al, so much. Appreciate it for letting us know. David Barnes, I'll look into the Majority Report. John P. Gary, I won't write every word down. Gaspi, ahí te veo. And once again, Amira, sorry, Susie. Thank you so much for the super chat. Ya estuvo.